Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round 5 of the Octane Online Racing Championship, brought to you by Thermaltake. Tonight, we are at the beautiful MISANO World Circuit in Italy. This technical 4.2-kilometre track is known for its fast-flowing layout, tight hairpins, and unforgiving track limits, a real test of driver precision. Now, after last round at Coda, the championship fight has really heated up. Benny V, or Mr. Smooth from last week, has closed the gap to just 4 points behind Paul Britt. So there's definitely two names we should all be watching tonight. But don't count out Eshan Lele. Fresh off a win last week, he's building momentum and looking to climb further up the table. With just 2 rounds to go after tonight, the pressure is on. Who will stay sharp and deliver when it counts? Who might crack under the heat of the title chase pressure? With me tonight, as always a pleasure, is Mr. Aidan Squires. How are you, mate?
I'm doing well, Davo. And you were mentioning ChatGPT before, and now I understand where that's gone after hearing that little intro from you. But anyway, much appreciated giving the viewers some sort of context behind where we're at this season. Like you said, we're at MISANO today. We've got a 1-hour race with a fixed refuel time, so that'll throw a little bit of alternate strategy in terms of who's going to take tyres and who isn't.
Yeah, man, I was actually a little bit bummed out that it had a fixed fuel time as well, because I know there's a little bit of strategy that can play in terms of how fuel efficient some of these cars are as well. You know, watching the Sprint Series last season, I saw a couple of rounds where, you know, it really made a difference where some cars were a little bit more fuel efficient. So I'm a little bit bummed out because obviously that can throw a little bit of variability into it. But I think a lot of these drivers are going to be pretty happy where it's just like, you know, we're going to go as hard as we can for 2 rounds of 30 essentially. But mate, tell me a little bit about MISANO, mate. I did a little bit of going back through the archives, and last year there was an Italian job series that I saw that you actually participated in. I just wanted to see what your history with MISANO has been like, mate.
Yeah, this is one of the tracks I also drove in Academy, so I've had a bit of experience around here. I can't say that it's exactly my favourite track, but once you get the flow, it's pretty nice. The big challenge here is just not invalidating or getting track cuts. As we watch on board with Ben Vincent coming through these sort of final corners, you can see that you are kind of required to run the exits and entries on a lot of these corners out wide, almost pretty much off track. So that makes it really difficult to actually stitch a lap together while doing that and not invalidate. And I've been here quite a few times with sprints now as well. Last time we were here was about 6 months ago, if I remember correctly, and we also did the Italian job Enduro. So yeah, a bit of experience around here, and I would say the same for quite a few of these drivers who are now driving around. We've been here a couple of times. Normally it's a bit hotter than this. Temperatures are normally a bit higher because it's in Italy, and it's been definitely higher in the past. So 16 ambient is actually a little bit less than what is kind of usual in ACC. So we should be seeing some pretty quick times. I'm going to say pole is going to be rough. I'm going to guess 32.6. So 1:32.6 is my pole guess. What about you?
Hey, that is insane if we see some of those times, you know, especially with I've been absolutely struggling in my practice laps this week with the cold track and just struggling so much with tyre pressures and tyre temperatures. If we see a low 1:32 tonight, I will be very, very surprised, but that's just an outrageous time to be putting down because, yeah, as you said, the Italian job last year in the Enduro, Pip did a low 1:32, and so did Lucas Keys as well. I actually think some of our more familiar names just here on screen, Jaden Rondinella, only did a mid 1:33, so he's come a long way in just under a year as well. So, mate, if we see a 1:32 tonight, I'll be a low 1:32 tonight. I will be absolutely astounded. But yeah, as you guys can all see, those little flat red stripes around the edge of the track. These drivers are just going to use every single inch of them to try and get those times down because it seems to be the only way you can actually do a fast time around here. As soon as you get a good lap, you've done a very fast time, and if you don't use them, somehow you're stuck in a 1:35. So it's either do it and risk getting a track cut, or don't do it and just be kind of down the back somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I have seen, not to spoil too much, but I have seen Luke Johnson put out some, I think it was a 32.7 last night. So he's definitely got a little bit more time in it, especially with all these other cars on track. You get a little bit more of that grip off the rubber that's being laid down by the entire grid of 35 cars here. So a few of these guys maybe just got a little bit more time in the tank. I should be doing something around that tomorrow, hopefully, if all goes well. As we see Wesley Yao here coming through that tricky section towards the end of the track into that really tricky 90-degree right-hander. He's just lost a little bit of time on his delta, unfortunately, but he is doing pretty well for a silver driver, currently up in P8. Wesley has been putting together some pretty strong performances, and Darryl Lim also in the Audi in P6. That's also a very good effort, and Peach in the chat saying the fastest way around MISANO is basically not driving on MISANO, and I 100% agree with that. That's what I always say. The track requires you to basically be off the track for most of the lap.
Mate, it's absolutely crazy to watch sometimes, you know, with these guys just essentially just driving around the grass, trying to maximize all these tracks. But no, as you just said before, Wesley, yeah, even last week did an amazing job in qualifying. Probably not the strongest race result that he wanted, but it was so good to see him up the front last week. And also very good to see Mr. Gareth Raupe back behind the wheel this week as well. Unfortunately, kind of lost some positions in the championship, being away last week, but great to see him back behind the wheel this week as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Alex Pasca Armstrong's jumped into P7 in that Pro-Am Ford. So I think the Ford's pretty strong here from what my experience just doing some laps in it. It's very good in the braking zones, and you know, you can really exploit that newer sort of electronics that it has. As Wesley Yao's right on the edge of invalidating, but just manages to keep about it. He's going to gain a bunch of time here. It's up to 4/10. It does slightly drop down on the exit, but as long as he nails these next two corners, he should be on for a pretty good lap here, which is going to put him up to potentially P6 or 7. 4/10 up here as he crosses the line. That is a good lap from Wesley Yao. That's going to put him up to P7 as a silver. So Wesley, obviously, he's at his wheat bix this morning.
That's an absolute fantastic lap and still going, trying to go on with it as well. Actually, just as I say that, he pulls over, but another 3/10 up here from Sakanis as well. So these laps are just coming in thick and fast, and you know, maybe it might have been beneficial to have a couple extra litres on board and try and stay out, because you know, these lap times are going to keep coming down as Sakanis comes up to P10 as well, with only 3 minutes to go. It's going to be about, what, 2 laps remaining in the tank. So whether or not he's got enough fuel on board to keep this keep this momentum going as well. But I drive the McLaren, and I think coming into those track limit areas, you know, especially the last turn and the second last turn, they've got those little sausage curbs just on the inside, you know, and just whether or not the Audi or, you know, definitely the Mustang handles those bumps a little bit better. And then the McLaren kind of gets a little bit sideways over them, so that's where we lose out a little bit in those types of cars.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen many more time gains up the top of the grid. Lele a little bit off the pace. He's currently behind Rondinella, and same with Vintner. Those are the two guys that came first and second last week, so I'd expect a little bit more time out of them, especially after the pace they showed at COTA, particularly obviously Lele and Vintner, like I just mentioned. And Rondinella has now snuck into P2 with what is, I think, somewhere around a 33.1. So we see Vintner here coming out of this tricky exit of turn 10 down the back straight in the Aston. So he is equal on his delta, but the red time either means he's invalid, or maybe this is his first lap out. But he hasn't really gained anything on this lap, and he's going to have roughly 2 more laps to do it as he equals his delta again through turn 14 and drops a little bit of time now on the exit. So Ben Vintner, I think, actually is only going to have one more opportunity, as the timer is now ticking down through past the 133 mark of a lap. So Ben Vintner has got one more shot at putting in a lap that will put him higher than P6.
Do we have any eyes on Paul Britt tonight? That's the name that I've been trying to find. I'm not seeing if anyone in YouTube chat or can help us out. That would be great to see. But not in the lobby at the moment, so we're either going to be starting from the pit lane as a late entry or not actually entering tonight. So Benny V sitting in P6 with a Paul Britton no-show is probably going to be okay with that tonight, but obviously with the other championship contenders around him too, so it might be something to look out for. But actually sitting in the pit lane there, and I just got actually pinged on the Discord by the two of them, was Saxon Hayes and Mr. Conboy actually have a bottle of wine bet going on tonight, who's going to be actually higher up the table. So that is going to be something for our YouTube commentary or YouTube chat to keep an eye on as well. Those two lads are going to go head to head in coming from the rear of the field, so they'll be joining Mr. Lucas Keys in the back end as well. But as we jump on board, and Johnson's just going 3/10 faster again, so
here it is.
This is what we're talking about. The tractors keep getting better and better, and just maximising the opportunity with the best conditions. And 4/10 up coming onto the back straight, and going to get rid of a slipstream behind the Lambo as well. So definitely going to be on for a good finish here.
Yeah, he did just lose a little bit out of that tricky corner of turn 10. But yeah, I was expecting a little bit quicker, and here it is. And Lele has gone. He's sideways, although he has done that quite a few times so far. But Lele has now taken pole, so Lele's done a 132.8. And if Johnson could just hold on to this delta that he has right now, he will...
Going to be so close.
Position. Yeah, it is going to be close. He's losing a little bit. Didn't quite take that final corner as hot as he could. And he's going to move into P1 with a 32.8. A little bit off my prediction. But yeah, still fairly close. And we've got a few more people yet to finish. I think Lele's also yet to finish, technically. He doesn't have a checkered flag next to his name. Stan Boscovis. Yeah, okay. He's down. Yeah, I think everyone's down on their delta, so except for Stan Boscovis, who we are looking at now in the McLaren. This could put him up, I think, 2 positions, now 3, as he gets beaten out, I think, by Wesley or Darrell, who's just crossed the line. He does gain 3/10 through turn 14, so that'll be a nice little improvement for him. He's going to flick the car back to the left, keep it valid, and pitch it into this final tricky left-hander, run it right out onto the exit, gain a bunch of delta there, and he's going to put himself up to P7 across the line.
Happy with that 3-position gain in the last lap. Mr. Clutch come up with the jumped up almost 3 rows, so it's going to be a very welcome jump up the order for Boscovis right there as well. So look at all the pros at the top of the field, all just stacked, and then we're going to have a stack of pros right at the bottom as well. But Luke Johnson just absolutely clutching up in those late stages. I wonder if Lele either got a bit of an invalid late on, but didn't really finish that last lap as well. So I think it's going to be a really tight battle, and I must eat my words. 3 McLarens at the top of the order. So I'll be asking them for their setups for tomorrow.
Yeah, and as Cameron Thistlethwaite said, is this confirmation that Luke D is better than Lucas Keys? I think it is.
Gotta be.
Luke D in P3 right now, which is a pretty good position for him. Obviously in that trio of McLarens up the front. He's going to be a little bit vulnerable to the Fords behind, which are pretty strong on the straights. But we'll see if Luke D can hold this P3 and get a podium here.
Yeah, mate. How what I love is just the yes, we've always got some some familiar names up the top of the order all the time, but they're always just slightly jumbled. Jaden Rondinella probably didn't have the best race last week. Was in and around Boscovis for most of the race in that back end of the top 10. Puts himself P3. Vediger probably wasn't. Vediger and Rauhi weren't here last week, but they're back, and so that kind of pushes some other names now a bit further down the order. We've still got the Lele's and Vintoners, but even Benny Vintner, kind of P6. Is he going to be happy with that? There's those little kind of niggles that, sometimes they go, yeah, cool, if I'm in the top 2 or 3. Now they're not. Someone else kind of come up and kind of pip those things and, to someone new to race around tonight as well.
Yeah, well, the start sort of lap on this track definitely encourages a lot of tight side-by-side racing, especially the first few corners. You can gain or lose quite a few positions by being a bit too aggressive or maybe a bit too tentative, because the corners aren't really that sharp. They're basically just like 2 sort of kinks and then a long sort of corner. you can run side by side for quite a lot of it. And yeah, hopefully the first few laps will provide us with some pretty good entertainment, and hopefully we can get a repeat of last week, where if you haven't already watched that race, there was a three-way battle for P2 in the final lap. So it was a really awesome race provided by these guys, and we'll see if they can follow it up this week. Like I said before, the strategy will play a part, and we'll see whether some people will elect to take tyres in their pit stop, which will add another 5 seconds onto their pit stop. But obviously they'll, have that fresh rubber and have the pace advantage because of that. Whereas some of the other cars might not have to take tyres just because they don't wear them out as much. However, this track is fairly, it's not terrible on the tyres, but you will definitely notice like a fresh tyre compared to a worn tyre here.
I also just pulled up the results from our championship, just a bit of championship chat while these guys roll around. But our Pro-Am class also has a 4-point spread between Harry Murphy and Zach Jensen. So Murphy's in P11 and Jensen's in P14, so only a row and up, 2 rows behind. And those guys have had a great battle all season, but Harry Murphy really kind of made the most of Coda with the speed he had last week. So it'll be interesting to see if, as he's done here, the form has continued, but that championship's really close as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call anything too early, but I dare say it's going to be pretty difficult to get past those Fords, because once they kind of see a bit of straight track, they're going to pull away from the cars behind. They will be slower through the sort of more technical parts of the track, but whether you can actually overtake there, especially on this track in particular, is another question entirely, as the grid now heads down this longer back straight, which will potentially host some of the overtaking moves we might see this race into this very tricky fast right-hander. I can't imagine doing this track on a motorbike. They actually mainly mainly use this track for motorbike races. I mean, these corners on a motorbike would be just mental.
Like over 300 kilometers an hour on a GP bike I saw when I was doing a little bit of research earlier, and I'm like, there's not enough money in the world you could actually get me to get on one of them things.
Oh, definitely.
I know some of our bike riders in the chat would, I know Saxon and a couple of other guys ride one of those organ donors, as I call them. But yeah, mate, I used made some of those footages and stuff that we've seen. It's just incredible speed. But mate, we're rolling up. Second last corner. Take it away, Aiden.
Yeah, I'll take this one away, thanks. They're going to line up 2 by 2 over their grid boxes, if they're remembering the rules properly. And they're going to head down this front straight. Now, this is going to be a small dash to the first corner, which is that kind of right-hand kink. So not much distance to get any overtaking done on the straight as we go green, 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 and away we go, heading into turn 1. Looks like a little bit of movement in the mid-pack, some people trying to take some alternate lines, but fairly clean so far. Some cars going very wide on the entry to turn 1, possibly just trying to avoid some of the carnage that may be on the way, but it looks like we've got through turn 2 and 3 fairly cleanly at the front of the grid. We're seeing some 2x2. Oh, and Luke Johnson's gone off the track. That is terrible for him. I think he locked the fronts going into turn 4, and that's dropped him some positions. He's going to be vulnerable now to both the Fords. They're going to run 3 wide down the first straight already on lap 1. It's kicking off, and Raupi and Vettiger have already gained a position on what was the race leader. So Luke Johnson already down into, I think, P5 already. So terrible start from him, just going into turn 4. I think he just locked the fronts and went way too deep, and that has allowed, Luke Johnson's gone for a send, and it's ended badly for him. He's had contact with the side of Raupi, and there's another car around as well, the Porsche. He's going to try rejoin. Oh wow, that is very close. Luke Johnson, there's more contact. He's hitting Lucas Keys. I think that's Lucas Keys off into the barrier. Oh my gosh, someone just, everyone calm down please. I'm running out of breath already. It's only been a lap, and it's not even been a lap yet. That was Lucas Keys, went off the track into the barrier as a result of contact for Luke Johnson, and I think Luke Johnson is going to receive possibly an unhappy message from the stewards after that whole sort of shenanigans just occurred.
Yeah, there could be quite a large stick coming out for Lucas Johnson right there, and just providing a little bit of context for everyone. Luke started P3 because he had a 2-place grid penalty for some infringements during qualifying, just kind of letting everyone in on that, and that's why I kind of Eshant Lele and Lupti got out in front, but it must have been a big send up into turn 4, so we'll try and get a little bit of a replay there, but that allowed Lele and Rondinella to come through, and it just allowed those Fords to get through on this little back straight section here, and it just carnage unleashed, and it was just probably a little bit of a late break, trying to split the gap there between the two Fords on the back straight, and just sooner or later it was just always going to go around, and just unlucky there a little bit. Calm heads did not prevail in that situation, but that was an outrageous start that we just saw tonight.
Yeah, 100%, man. That was just full action pretty much from turn 3 onwards for the rest of the lap, and yeah, Luke Johnson dropping a few positions, unfortunately, as part of that, and that's just allowed Rondinella as well to scoot up into P3, but P2, sorry, but he does have the Mustang of Joshua Vettiger right behind for close company, only 3/10, and Raupi with a little bit of damage on that side from the contact with Johnson, but just hanging it in there behind Ben Ventner. I think I'm not sure if he's lost or gained many positions out of that. I think he gained some and then lost some again from that contact with Johnson, but now right on the back of Ben Vintner, maybe able to set something up if he gets a decent exit. Ben Vintner is going to stick to the middle of the track to potentially defend any incoming attack. It's very close going into the braking zone. Raupi is really sniffing the back of Vintner here, and Stan Buscovis as well is not too far behind, so Stan's just watching all this thinking, oh, if these guys have like some sort of coming together, I'm just going to sneak through and take this position. So he's making sure he's in a prime position to take any advantages he can get from this battle. But Lele just running away with it a little bit. Rondinella 8/10 off the back, and Raupi good exit out of turn 6. He's going to potentially look for a move into this long left-hander down the end of the straight, but can't really do anything with it as he wasn't firing off alongside.
Yeah, Lele trying to just scoot away like he did last week at Coda, try and build that 2 to 3 second gap, push the car a little bit harder and settle into that race pace. But as you mentioned on the start as well, that Porsche that spun out just coming into that back straight there was Harry Murphy. So we've lost our Pro-Am. It is Lucas Keys. Must have pitted early potentially and taken the timed pit stop, I was saying. If we obviously can't scroll down the list and see where he's at, because he's obviously last at the moment, but
he has to move out the way.
Gonna have to get blue flagged here, definitely. Yeah.
This has been like 3 or 4 corners that he's been directly in front of Lele, so I don't think that's quite what's supposed to happen, as he runs very wide off the exit. So
yeah, there he goes.
Okay, now he's moving out the way. I was a bit confused there. I was thinking, has Lucas out in front? So yeah, he's taken his pit stop, I assume, to repair that damage as a result. And Lele just putting in those purple laps now is able to just kind of get some clean air. And as usual, we've seen quite a few times now that Lele, once he's able to get in that clean air, he just kind of runs away, and we don't really see much of him until the end of the race. But Rondinella has still got Vettiger for very close company just behind, really staying right glued to the back of that McLaren. And the gap back to Vintner is now 2 seconds. So clearly the Vintner-Raupi battle is having an effect on Vintner's ability to stay on the back of this pack.
I think just what you said, right? The Ford was going to be very strong during the race. You mentioned that a lot earlier, and this is kind of coming to fruition. Just, I think, Mr. Smooth qualified P6, so yeah, gained a couple of positions through the start. I think he did pass Raupi, but he's made a little bit of a gap there. But yeah, those Fords, as soon as they get onto the straights, they're kind of quite lethal, and they're not much can get around them. But yeah, a little bit of a weird one, just to say the fact that we had a little bit of a crazy start, but yeah, a lot of the things are still ready to unfold with still 54 minutes to go.
Yeah, so I didn't actually catch the fact that, that's very wide from Stan, but I didn't actually catch that Luke had been ordered to move down to P3 in that quali. So yeah, he was actually 3rd place, and he still went very wide though, and had those issues as well. That Audi is really getting sniffed by that Porsche coming through the last corner, and now that's left the Porsche of Wesley vulnerable. To Sakanias. The Porsche's taken a very aggressive line through the first kink, but he's managed to hold the position. So Wesley Yao holding off in this kind of silver battle of P7, 8 and 9 between Darryl Lim in the Audi in front, Wesley Yao obviously in this Porsche we're looking at. George Sakanius behind him, and the Ford of Alex Pascal Armstrong just behind.
Hey, Pascal Armstrong just has those moments, right? I think he had a great race at Suzuka a couple of weeks ago as well, showed some really great pace, and again, just another week, just keeps driving up, and I think that Pro-Am black badge might be coming off sooner rather than later, just showing such great pace as we see Luke Johnson either falling back through the field, getting passed by Jamie Convoy on the inside there. So I don't know whether or not Luke's either got some damage. I thought, maybe with his pace he'd be able to scoot through this this field a little bit quicker, but these two just going back and forth. Standard top level pro drivers, but yeah.
Yeah, he's not giving it up easy. JC did nip up his inside going into turn 8, but he did actually kind of reply back into turn 9 and 10. So JC's still behind Luke Johnson here, and I'm looking for Saxon Hayes. So Saxon Hayes is currently beating JC to the bottle of wine. Saxon in P17 in this just massive gaggle of cars. I think there's like 10 or more cars in this train. So Saxon is well in the action right now in that Japanese police Nissan GTR with that BMW of Lee Perkins quite close behind, but Saxon has made his way through the field fairly quickly if he started from the back and is now up to P17.
Yeah, Mr. Elbows Out, Saxon Hayes loves getting his elbows and elbows out and getting stuck into some racing, and Mr. Consistency JC probably on a little bit safer side through these first 3 or 4 laps. Got those 4 positions down as we go too wide coming onto that straight through the double right-hander there. But it'll be interesting battle as this goes on. I wonder if they're going to get a red or a white. I'm hoping they get a red wine, because if we ever get a chance to catch up, they might actually bring it along, and I love having a bit of a red on any night, actually.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, once the action calms down, I would like to see what happened with Luke Johnson going into turn 4. I think
he's gone again.
Oh, he's gone off again, so something's just happened there, but apparently we don't have the replay, unfortunately, for what happened at the beginning to Johnson, and now he's under attack from Blake Griffiths, who's down the inside in the GTR. This is a sketchy place to go side by side, but they're holding it. Luke Johnson goes very wide in a bid to try hold that position, but maintains that position in front of Blake. Potentially maybe something with the stewards there for going off and holding position, but they continue on. Luke Johnson maybe just trying to... Oh, that's very wide from Joe Spenceley against JC just in front, and now that might potentially leave some room for Johnson to have a look into turn 1. He does have a look, but doesn't quite pull it off. He bides his time. I think he knows that maybe there's a penalty on the way, so he doesn't want to get involved in too many. And apparently...
Yeah, I was going to say the lights are on, and the red mist has completely descended over Luke Johnson tonight. I think after the start that he's had, he's going, you know what? I saw in the chat before, he's speed running a quality ban. He's like, well, if I'm going to get one, I might as well get a couple, so get it all out of the way in one race, he reckons.
So apparently from Cameron Thistleway in chat, Saxon is already on 3 track limits, and I actually believe that 100%. From the screenshot that was sent in the chat of him doing 10 invalid laps in a row. So some people struggling with keeping the car on the track and getting some valid laps in. Yeah, Damiano, was that an overtake off the circuit by 111? Was that? I think that's 111. I'm not sure I caught that, did you?
No, I didn't catch it at all. Sorry, I needed to...
Here's the start. Glenn's got us to start. So we're on board with Luke Johnson. Maybe he's gone for an overtake on Rondinella. Yeah, big send here. Ooh, wow, that's very close. Yeah, and he's gone wide onto that really slippery stuff. And Lele's also managed to hold off Rondinella as well as they go through from that. And
you can see Raupi on the left here.
Yeah, Vettiger's just able to drive past and Raupi with that Ford power on the straights. And then give forward a little bit here. We're going to see what happens with Johnson and Ralphie. He just tries to shoot this gap, but unfortunately a little bit of miscalculation, and obviously Ralphie has to turn in eventually. And there was also some contact between Pascal Armstrong and the Porsche. It's definitely a bit of a questionable rejoin, and oh wow, that is, yeah, just bumps Lucas off, and there he goes. He's way off, and there goes Saxon Hayes on the right, who I'm sure is just thanking the gods for getting rid of Lucas from being near him, and he's continuing on his way.
I can't wait to some replays come up in through the OOR Discord in the coming days of this start. I think it's going to be quite outrageous. Some people gaining a lot of spots and some people losing a ton of spots as well. But there's going to be some great onboards. There's got a bit of a train behind the BMW. I think it must be Perkins or Anderson. It might be Anderson. Just an absolute train of cars coming down the back straight there behind the BMW.
Oh, that's a send from Johnson. Wow, that was very close.
Oh.
Almost contact with JC, just snuck down the inside. I think JC was just kind of getting bottled up with all those cars that were kind of going slow, and JC now ducks into the pits. So I think he's recognized that pitting and just getting out of this massive train is just a better idea, because as we saw there, in these sort of trains what happens is you might overtake one person, but then because you're slowed up from getting stuck behind everyone, someone else sneaks down your inside, which is exactly what we saw.
It's the overall speed of the race, right? You know, you might feel like you've got a high position as they just clatter into the double right-hander. I think it might have been Luke Johnson that thrown a dummy, and then the BMW's just gone down the side of Saxon Hayes, and all of a sudden Saxon's lost 3 spots and it's all kicked off again. These guys are going fist to fist. They've got into almost a boxing match tonight with Lucas Johnson just being at the epicenter going again.
Another move there. Just saw Johnson just went for a big send on that BMW into turn 8 as well. We just saw through that little camera angle there, we couldn't quite see, but he was going for a big send. JC did not fluff quali Scotty. He is starting from the back with Saxon, who's just had a BMW caused incident right there or something. So Saxon's dropped a few positions after that and is now back on the back of Luke Johnson. So it sees the pro drivers this race are causing a bit of ruckus throughout the grid. They're all kind of ruffling the feathers of everyone, and these big battles generally do kind of lend to that, especially on MISANO, where it's a little bit harder to overtake and drivers get frustrated and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's definitely providing some entertainment.
It seems as though we usually have the Lucas Keys one pro driver coming through the field, but seems when we have 3 or 4 coming from the back, it causes a little bit too much chaos. I think what do we have? Saxon and JC doing their bottle of wine bet starting from the rear of the field, and we've had Lucas Keys obviously always starting from the back in his split yellow, but yeah, Lucas Johnson having the spin at the start as well.
Go 20. Stop go 20 for Luke Johnson. Penalty there, so it's a pretty big penalty for him. I'm guessing for a combination of the accident and possibly the rejoin too.
Is that still not on the lenient side? Do we not do stop go 30s as well?
I'm not exactly sure about how they do the exact timing of 20, 30, 10 on the stop goes, but Ben Curtis in chat is telling us he's be getting a stop go 20 for a bad rejoin and the collision after, which is the collision with Lucas Keys. But I'm wondering if there's any other penalty for what happened before, but I'm sure that'll come. Lucas is right now on the back of Lele. Maybe Lele might just let him past, as obviously having Lucas behind you for an extended period of time is probably going to put you off a little bit.
He's been there for multiple laps, so
okay.
I was watching that actually before, trying to get a little sneak peek and looking at the track map, and he's actually been there for ever since he actually came out of the pits and that first blue flag was actually shown. So I don't know whether or not Lele's just got some really, really good pace. I know Lucas is an absolute freak, but let's not discount how good Lele's going tonight, because obviously he's driving away from the rest of them, with an almost 4-second lead over Lupti. So, he's showing some good pace, and Lucas is probably just happy to sit there for the moment.
Speaking of Lupti, he's quite under attack from Joshua Vettiger here, with JC saying we are so back. Maybe he's talking about in relation to his battle with Saxon, because I did see the side of Saxon's car and it did look pretty banged up from that contact. As yeah, Vettiger still just right on the back of Rondinella, but as I kind of alluded to before, even in a car like a Ford, it's still very difficult to overtake here as long as the driver in front of you doesn't make any real catastrophic mistakes. You can try force them into errors like what Josh was doing here, kind of sitting in the mirror, or that's a big slide there, but sitting in the mirror and, you know, trying to force an error. But if the driver in front is fairly experienced and they don't make those errors, it's very difficult to actually get a move done here. As yeah, you basically have to send it and like be alongside to actually get something done. But that is a really good exit from Joshua Vettiger. He's going to look up the inside of Jaden Rondinella. They're going to run side by side, possibly into turn one. No, I think Vettiger maybe just pulled out of that one, but he did look
showing
like
the nose a little bit. Yeah, just showing the nose. I think he's you know, in and around the same pace as Lupti, and let's be honest, Lupti's always a little bit erratic sometimes, and so Josh has probably got to just getting big in the mirrors, showing that nice big Coke Ford Mustang going, hey, I'm still here, let's go. We need to keep getting forward because there's still some fast guys that have already pitted, and you know, trying to make sure they can maximise their track time.
It's real close. Yeah, he's going to pull out. Yep, he's going for the move. This is a great place to make a move, especially in the Ford, where your brakes really do help you. Jaden Rondinella is going to try fight this on the outside, but it's going to be very tough to hold this car around the outside going into this right-hander of turn 10. So Vettiger gets the move done into that long left-hander, which I feel like is going to be the main overtaking spot for the Fords, as they get a good run coming off turn 6 down that little straight, and you're able to brake so late in the Ford there because of the modern sort of electronics that really, like, you never lock basically in that car, so you can really manipulate those good electronics to good effect and brake really late. And nice.
I'll be noting that for tomorrow when I join my split red comrades in battle. But yeah, I don't drive a Ford, so I don't get to use that as a benefit. But mate, we're I'm just literally trying to keep track of all our classes that are rolling through. So Wesley Yao, Daryl, is it Daryl Lim?
Yeah, Daryl
in the silver class. They're very close together, only less than a second behind each other. But Prakash Armstrong really putting the sword to the Pro-Am class today. You know, got 3 or 4 seconds in front of the rest of the Pro-Am class. So doing an absolute fantastic job in that gorgeous black and gold Mustang. So, you know, if he's trying to have a bit of a quiet race tonight, you know, just tagging along with the Lucas Marshall and the Bentley in front of him. So, yeah, he's doing a really classy job in that Pro-Am field. But yeah, nice and tight in the front of the silver class with Daryl and Wesley. So that's going to be a couple of names to watch if you've got some eyes on the left-hand leaderboard as well.
Yeah, definitely. As we're watching this little battle group here of, I believe it's Ryan Anderson, Brian Kong, Neil Wood, and Krista Arth. Darth in that lime-coloured Ferrari at the back of this little group, and we've seen 10-second penalty for car 16 causing a collision. So that's Spenceley getting a penalty there. And yeah, Ben Curtis just confirms that in the text chat of YouTube as, well, this potentially bad exit, but manages to hold it for Ryan Anderson. He will have that GTR in the tow running down the straight, and there's Saxon Hayes in the background, possibly sizing up a move on Perkins in the background, but it's going to be very difficult. He's going to try just put Perkins off, I think, stay in his mirror, try to put him off, get him offline, and potentially make a move into this right-hander, but he doesn't. He stays back, biding his time. He's also on 3 track cuts, as was mentioned before, so really doesn't want to get a track cut, trying to get a move done, and then obviously have to serve a drive-through penalty, which would absolutely ruin your race at this point. So there's
I was going to say it's going to be interesting to see how himself and JC pan out, obviously with JC pitting so early. You know, it was, you know, just under 50 minutes that he pitted. You know, Saxon stayed out for another 10 minutes now, and with this damage as well, and would it have been better to kind of rip the band-aid off, get that you know, damage repaired, get some clean air, because I'm sure he's probably got a little bit more pace than some of these guys around him as well. So I'm interested to see what you think about that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I actually think JC is probably going to come out as the winner of this. we'll obviously have to wait and see because it's hard to know for sure. But as long as he doesn't get held up by too much traffic from pitting early, he should be okay. Now, the one thing pitting that early is going to do is it's going to kind of remove your tyre options. Like, you can put on a new set 10 minutes in, but obviously once you get to the end of the race, your tyres are going to be in a lot worse condition than those who pitted at halfway. But Saxon here looking for a move on the outside of Perkins. He has got a pretty good run, but he's going to get shown the outside to this fast right-hander. He's going to have to hold the car there. Don't run wide and get a track cut because you get a drive through. So he's got that thing in the edge of his mind as well, but he is holding it around the outside for now. He's going to have the outside, maybe try for a cut back on the exit, but the BMW is just able to block that racing line, and Saxon just can't really drive through that car, obviously. Only room for one car on the racing line, especially at a track like this, so just has to sit back and size up his opportunities. But that is 2 laps in a row where he's had a pretty good run coming down the back straight, so if he can just maximise his opportunities there, he might be able to get past Perkins.
Yeah, I think Perkins is quite aware that, you know, he might not be having the best exit off that double right onto the back straight there. So he's gone, you know what, I'm just going to try and do as best as I can, park it on the inside, let the torque of the Nissan kind of come up alongside. But the BMW's still got some really good top line speed. Whether or not the damage from Saxon's actually hurting him in that regard as well, but. He's gone, yep, cool, like if that's the spot that's only I'm really that vulnerable at.
Move up the top from Brian Kong on Ryan Anderson there. That was a big send. I saw him pull out, and Ryan Anderson is going to have another run up the inside after getting a much better exit as Kong took a very shallow line. There's going to be a little bit of contact on the apex. The GTR and the BMW are going to get away with it, but Wood's there, but just watch this. Yep, GTR, see you later, son. It's like Wood is standing still once they get on that straight. So these two live to fight another day, but that was a pretty bold move from Brian Kong there, just sending a massive dive bomb into turn 8, and Anderson just kind of letting him make that move and kind of overshoot the corner and just getting a better drive off the exit. The kind of sort of sensible move there in this battle. But Saxon Hayes again just stuck on the end of this train and possibly bleeding some time here. So maybe JC is in his bid to get that wine bottle, he's actually made a pretty good strategy decision to come in.
Yeah, I was agreeing with what you thought. Saxon Hayes could get in front of just there as well. Yeah,
he's gotten past potentially on the straight.
I think Perkins had a really bad exit onto the main straight.
Well, Perkins is through again though. Yeah.
Oh my God, these guys are going crazy again.
So yeah, something kind of funny with those first few corners is even if you're on the outside, it changes to the inside and then changes back to the outside. So you can kind of have like a back and forth battle, as we've just seen here, as you know, each car gets an advantage in a different part of the corner. As Saxon now pulls out again into turn 8, going to look for a move. The BMW just maintains the speed, and Saxon is going to be shown the outside here coming up to turn 10, which, as we've seen so far, is basically impossible to hold in position. But what he's going to try to do is drive deep into this corner. Perkins has gone way too deep, and now it's going to be a drag race. GTR and BMW, and GTR, I dare say, will have this one pretty much well done. And Saxon didn't really even have to try go for the cutback and get the good exit in the end, because Perkins just kind of drove himself a bit too wide, and that is Saxon Hayes through after that kind of long battle. As on the top of the screen, there's contact between Kong and Anderson. Kong going for another move. That's a dodgy place to rejoin, but he keeps it off the racing line pretty well. And Brian Kong only lost one position from that, but he did kind of get spat out sideways. I think he was just trying to go for a move on Anderson, and as we've seen, running through that side-by-side fire section is just so difficult at the speed. So yeah.
Is there no track cut penalty there? Because we just didn't make a corner at all. We just racing incident that we just got to let that roll.
Yeah, I think because he lost time throughout that, he won't really get anything from that. But it'd be interesting to catch a replay possibly. And that was also a good battle between Saxon and Perkins through that first sort of sector. We saw them trade positions a few times and run side by side. So well done to those guys for keeping the racing nice and close. And out of the top 3, Raupi is, or top 5 I think, Raupi is into the pits now to do his stop. So he's come in a little bit earlier than halfway, but we should start seeing most of the cars in the field do their pit stops fairly soon as we reach the halfway mark, and maybe some people are going to run a little bit longer in this first stint just to make sure they don't get held up by too much traffic. But yeah,
was Briscovis always in front of Vintner?
I don't think so.
Benny V's just come into the pit?
Yeah, he's just jumped into the pits, but I think you're right on that, in that I don't remember Buscovis being in front of Vintner, so maybe Vintner's had a shock a few laps and has decided to come into the pits now. As gap on Lele, and yeah, Vediger's also through on Rondinella. I don't think we saw him get past, did we? Or no, sorry, was it
so
the?
Yeah, it was,
oh no, was it the turn 8? I think he did get past. Hey.
Yeah, into the left. Yeah.
So this is the Anderson and Kong thing here. Kong's going for, oh, that's so tight, and just he's already sliding before they even get to the second. Yeah, so GTR is just not happy going through there, and he caught a slide going through that really fast sort of right little kink of 12 and just oversteered into Ryan Anderson. Yeah, that's what happened. So I dare say no penalty from that, but yeah, Vediger closing the gap and Stan Buscovis through on Vintner.
It's interesting to see how fast Saxon's kind of pulled up to the back end of Kong here, and then you can just see how much damage that Saxon's got, because that first sector Kong just pulls those 3 or 4 car lengths, but as soon as you get into these kind of simpler sectors where it's not really aerodynamic demanding, Saxon kind of instantly pulls up to him. And interesting to see how kind of this next little yo-yo battle happens, obviously with the same car. There's not going to be much horsepower difference, so whether or not some wing changes were there in the initial setup, but interesting to see how Saxon kind of handles this next little battle, because we knew how hard it was for him to pass Perkins in the BMW as well.
Yeah, Wesley Yao into the pits as well, so basically dead on that 30-minute mark, which is kind of what we expected for most of the grid. Ryan Anderson in too, as we are seeing just there. So yeah, quite a lot of this grid is probably going to pit exactly on the halfway mark, because in theory that is the most optimal and fastest strategy. But that's going to leave Saxon Hayes and Brian Kong or drive through for Lee Perkins, so that'll be track limits, I reckon. So yeah, track limit drive through for Lee Perkins, which is, as I mentioned before, is going to really affect their race, unfortunately. And Saxon Hayes, Glenn's, okay, so drive through for a dive bomb on lap 9 from Ben Curtis, so that's pretty interesting. So that's a steward admitted penalty for Lee Perkins then. That'll probably be for the Saxon Hayes contact, I assume, or something like that, maybe. I'm not sure.
I'm not too. Lap 9 I feel like was a fair while ago, so it's already like out of the memory bank at the moment. But I'm looking at the on-track battle between, actually in pit battle between Benny Vintner down there in P23, and where Wesley Yao comes out in that type of battle. So Vintner's kind of the first person on the road that's completed his pit stop. So
Rondinella and Buscovis just in as well right now.
Just in as well, yep. So Vintner actually just went through the timing loop. So is it an entire lap worth of pit stop? Is it? Otherwise, I feel like that's going to be.
I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, with the length of the pit lane, it's pretty bad.
Yep. Yeah, it's such a long pit lane as you exit, right? It's I keep forgetting, but that little kind of battle to come up with Wesley Yao only being a second behind Benny Vintner. Actually, a really good job there for the silver class car. So, Benny V pitting those couple of laps early might not have actually helped him. I think sometimes it might be a bit better to stay out those couple extra laps and make the most of you being in the rhythm, because sometimes it's hard to get back out on track and hit those marks straight away.
Yeah, temperature's dropping pretty significantly now, so we're down to 14, 16. 14 ambient, 16 track, so that's quite a bit lower than what we started with. And now we're seeing Lele, we're seeing Lucas Keys right behind Lele, but I think Lele is still in the lead of this race. I think these guys have, so Lele just hasn't let Lucas past, I'm assuming, and Lucas is still a lap down from Lele. As we're going to see where Joshua Vediger comes out.
He's coming in. I think he's coming in.
Oh, sorry, coming in, yeah. There's a few cars that should be coming out right about now, though, I think. Pascal Armstrong's out. Brian Kong is coming out as well.
Yeah, Rondanella's definitely got out in front of Benny V by about 7 or 8 seconds. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the next little kind of gaggle of cars that Vettiger, Sakanius all come out when they finally do their pit stop.
Yeah, and obviously, where's JC in all of that? Because I don't see him in that top 23 list yet. Maybe we can see where he is on track quickly. So he's in last, which is very weird because something, yeah.
I thought I might have seen him actually. I think he came out in front of Lele a lot earlier in one of the views that we saw, and I swear I saw that little purple GTR pit for a second time. So
anyone in YouTube?
He said in YouTube chat that we are so back, and I'm not sure that's actually for a good thing. I'm thinking that he's gone, we're so back because we're actually cooked our pit stop.
Whoa! Watch where you're going on the exit, man. Well, JC needs to watch out where he's going because he's blue flag. But yeah, that's big contact between JC and Vettiger, and that's actually allowed Rondanella to be right next to Vettiger through that section of turn 4, 5, and 6, which is really quite. Yeah, I didn't expect that. It seems like JC maybe just a little bit asleep at the wheel, not realizing there was cars coming out of the pit lane.
It's just another one of those really awkward pit exits. You know, I think we've had a few of them this year in Sprint Series. We had a Paul Ricard, which kind of enters you back out straight onto the racing line, and this week it seems to be exactly the same. It just spits you out straight into the racing line, and that speed from JC just didn't really see the red Ford coming out from the pit lane there. So a bit of a victim of circumstance there was Vettiger, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Glenn's telling us the reason why he said we're so back, and potentially he's got a speeding in the pit lane penalty, which would be very much like JC. Yeah, so they're definitely on brand for him. So that's probably why he's in last place and just shadowing Luke D right now. But yeah, I'm also quite impressed with Stan Buscovas just gaining so many positions just by driving and just keeping his nose fairly clean so far. Although, as I say that, oh no, sorry, he is. I was just getting distracted with Lucas's timing thing being purple lap, and he is also not far off the back of that silver battle, only 2/10 off Piper at the moment. But yeah, Stan Buscovas currently sitting in P5, but I thought he was in front of Vinton, or was he not, before the pits?
He was, yeah, he was, and that's where it's been a little bit of an up and down battle. So it's just yeah, like sometimes actually what it's going to be as well, who's taken tyres and who hasn't taken tyres. I think that's going to be that's one thing that we don't get to see in terms of the data that we have on our screen. So as you said, kind of in that initial intro, it's a 5-second difference between fuel timing and if you want to take those sets of tyres. So I reckon there's going to be a few drivers that did eventually take those tyres and some that haven't. So maybe Buscovas, being 2 seconds behind there, has taken some tyres, yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's very good explanation for what's potentially happened there. As Sakani's now also in the pit, and same with Griffiths. That just leaves Zach Jensen, Saxon Hayes, Kieran Reid out as the last men standing, basically.
Where's Lucas Keys gone?
What do you mean, where's Lucas Keys
gone? He was right behind. Wasn't he behind Lele? Oh, Lele pitted.
Oh no, he's behind. Yeah, he's behind Piper.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
you worried me
I'm
for
like,
a second.
what is going on?
What's happened?
Sorry about that, everyone.
No, it's a bit hard to keep up with everything that's going on.
That's what we like, though. Pit stops do provide a little bit of a randomness and a bit of excitement as well.
Yep, definitely. As Lucas Keys now right on the back of Benjamin Piper in that Audi. He has got one other Audi compatriot this race, one other insane person, which is Darryl Lim. He's not far off the back of Wesley Yao as well, so the silver battle is quite on here, and Lucas Marshall as well, not quite with his pro brethren, but he is you know, on the back of that grid too. As Lucas very menacingly on the back of that Audi. I bet he's just waiting for the straight. He's going to line this thing up, get a good exit, and he's just going to try drag past this Audi. Now the real benefit, or the real gain, will start coming down the end of the straight, which is right now. You can start to see that GTR pulling up onto the back of the Audi. We'll see if Ben Piper lets him kind of get away with it, or if he makes him work for it, as they head through into the difficult right-hander. Lucas right on the back of that Audi, but no, Ben Piper seems to be making Lucas you know, work for it. He's not giving it up for free. So yeah, Lucas a little bit stuck here behind the Audi.
Benny, do you mind putting us on Wesley for a second? Because there's some very tight battles just going on between Wesley and Darryl Lim at the moment. So I just want to see a quick little update on this, on the top of the silver class, because there's first, second and third in silver all within a second of each other. So these guys have kind of done all their pit stops and somehow found themselves all within the same bit of tarmac again, and Audi things, you know, sideways through the corner, but you know, coming up to this, you know, corner where you can actually do a bit of a late braking overtake. And do you have a look? Yeah, he does. Goes down the inside. Does he get it stopped in time? Looking quite deep and looking like a great overtake by Darryl Lim right there. This is for the lead of silver classes. Just changed hands, so the Audi going to try and stretch its legs coming down the back straight and keep it neat and tidy, and go with and actually try and skip away from Wesley at the moment.
Yeah, well done by Darryl and that Audi. As I've seen, it's pretty difficult to pull up sometimes. The ABS just doesn't really do its job occasionally, and will just like lock up. But yeah, anyway, lead of silver for Darryl Lim in the Audi. Obviously not an easy car to drive. Drives it a little bit wide. Yeah, he's gonna, if he keeps making mistakes like this, Wesley Yao will probably be around to keep him company. But if he can just drive away here, which I reckon he can, as Sakanius now is right on the back of Wesley Yao, just behind, as Brenno's saying in the chat. Yeah, run in the chat, as Sakanius is looking a bit threatening on Wesley Yao, not able to do much so far. That's a blue flag in an awkward position. Cars kind of had to take a little bit of action there just to make sure there was no contact. Sakanius having a bit of a slide on the exit, that's going to allow Lucas Marshall to close up right behind, but Bentley not quite the best in braking zones like that, so I think he just decides to hold on and potentially try go for a move on the straight, but gets a pretty awful drive of turn 6, and Sakanius now onto the back of Wesley Yao again, and Darryl Lim now is just stretching his legs, the gap out to about 1 second. So yeah, like I just mentioned, if this battle keeps on going out, it's definitely going to affect or like improve the circumstances for Darryl Lim, who's leading silver class.
Mate, Breno must be in on the inside.
Yep. That's a big dive.
Wesley definitely gave him a good amount of space there. I think it's some gentlemanly driving there from Wesley Yao. Going, you know what, I might not have the pace right now. Let's just kind of pull the jets and see if we can kind of keep some tyre, maybe fight a little bit later. He goes up the inside.
You said cool.
Oh, he's having a look. Does it allow Lucas Marshall up the inside now, though? Yeah, there we go. Now I think it's time to call the jets, Wesley. Let's get it all back under control. We've had some great pace, and I think there might be an opportunity later on if we get that all back together. But Breno must be in the Discord of Darryl, because he's definitely listened and, you know, pulled 1.4 seconds in a lap over Sakanius in that bit of a battle lap as well. So we're interested to see how that little gap closes in or it keeps extending. So Sakanius is looking actually really good in the McLaren. So I'm sure that gap will yo-yo in the next 20 minutes as well.
Yeah, apparently from YouTube chat, Yao did not take tyres, so that's potentially the pace deficit we're seeing there. And for everyone in later splits, maybe that's a bit of warning for you.
Did Wesley? But I didn't think Wesley had a 5-second lead though over Darryl before the pit stop. So maybe he did.
I'm not sure.
Or maybe he's just had a really good pit stop or a really poor pit stop, maybe compared to the others. So
Ryan Anderson on Layla Bell, it looks like, heading into turn 4. Gets the move done, so that Porsche suffering a little bit, and now it's going to have a GTR right behind it, which is going to thoroughly enjoy that slipstream. Going to look for a move down the inside into turn 8. I reckon this one will be pretty done and dusted if he can just hold it there. I didn't quite see if there was contact there, but it looks pretty clean. They're going to run side by side up again to turn 9 and 10, but Layla Bell just gets a slightly better drive off the corner. Saxon tries to go the long way around. He's going to try a V off this corner, get a nice cutback, but the Porsche drive is just going to allow it to mitigate some of that difference in line there. And Daryl Lim has a DT, I've just noticed, but looking back at this battle, there's too much going on. Saxon Hayes is going to try drive around the outside. The Porsche is going to be very close side-by-side racing coming up to the final sector. Saxon has a bit of a wiggle, has to just back out as that GTR tried to let go. Kind of similar to what we saw from Brian Kong there, having a bit of a slide. But Daryl Lim, drive through. So I'm going to suspect that's for track limits.
He's gone and run. He just run straight off the track and got himself a couple of track limits and now finds himself in a drive-through. No, that is not what we needed from Darryl right there. I actually, I was just thinking that the purple Porsche might have had a wiggle under the braking zone there, and I think my Saxon's just gone, you know what, I'm getting out of here, and he's just gone exited left. But
Ben Curtis just confirming that is track limits related penalty in the chat, and that's going to drop Daryl Lim quite a few spots now, and George Sakanis is just going to be looking at this quite happily, as possibly going to try make a move here. I'm not sure if that would be the best idea, considering it's not long left in this race, and also obviously Lim has to serve his track limits drive through in the next 3 laps. A big slide from the Audi there coming into turn 13. Sakani is really...
Do you take the DT close early, or do you try and extend it because you've got a bit of clear track at the moment?
He's going in now.
But what are your thoughts, Aiden?
In this sort of situation, I might honestly just take it early, because I don't want to have an incident with the guy behind. You know, if he's very racy, like we're seeing with George, he's all over the back of Lim, so any kind of move that goes wrong is going to end up costing both of you, so you might as well just take it early.
Yeah, we literally just saw it down the bottom of the page. George is doing 1:34.1s even behind a guy, so he's doing very fast lap times at the moment. So let's go down the list. It's been a little while since we've gone down the top. So we've got Lele out in front, only 3.3 in front of Ediger, so he's going to be trying to close that gap down. Lucas Key's getting around Wesley Yao as well, just hampered by those, didn't take those tyres, so he's just trying to hurt his way home. Luke at the front, they're all kind of nicely evenly gapped, all about 3 seconds away from each other, so that's why we're not seeing too much at the moment, with Vintner 7 seconds behind Rondinella. So a little bit of a kind of a procession at the front at the moment. We'll see if anyone gets any of those track limit DTs later on. But yes.
Moscovas is not too far off the back of Vintner. It's only 1.2 seconds.
1.2, yeah.
Vintner has not taken tyres, potentially. That gap will continue to come down as the race goes on. So maybe there's something there. So he's done a last lap 34.0. I'd be interested to see what Stan did behind him. So the gap's now 1.1. So yeah, 33.8. So there's 0.2, obviously, improvement from Stan Buskovas over Ben Vintner. So he is catching up. If this continues, he will be right behind him in the next few laps. So maybe Vintner just thought not taking tyres was the best option, or maybe he's struggling a little bit, as now, Stan is up to 7/10ths back, and apparently there's been an incident with Layla Bell from Scott Rochford, and Saxon Hayes has a DT.
There it is. Now this is going to be interesting. Is he going to? How many laps down is JC? Because if he's going to have to come through the pits again with such a long pit lane, that's going to be an interesting one too, whether or not they're going to find each other again. But I know JC's gone through the pits twice, so it might be just a little bit too far for JC. You might need another quick DT from Saxon Hayes as well to get him back in the race. But Benny V Buscovas is heating right up with 13 minutes to go.
Yep, definitely. Saxon Hayes gonna have to serve this drive through in the next 3 laps, assuming he got it fairly recently. So he did hold on to that third warning for quite a long time. Props to him. I think he was on that third warning in the first sort of 10 minutes of the race.
We've got a yellow flag up here on the right as well.
Number 43. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly who it is.
I can get you with that.
McLaren. It's Jeff Beaton in the McLaren.
Jeff Beaton. Mm-hmm.
5 seconds penalty for car 50, causing a collision. 10-second penalty for car 50. I didn't see that. Causing a collision from Saxon Hayes, I think. So, I don't. Did you see anything related to that?
No, I don't know whether or not was that going to be the Layla Bell incident.
Maybe.
Because obviously that purple Porsche was around Saxon the last time we saw him on stream, so potentially thinking that might have been in and around that. Whether or not YouTube can help us out with that as well.
Yeah, we might be able to get a replay of that too. But yeah, Saxon Hayes now, he's going to have to serve this drive-through, plus he's going to have the 10 seconds added on at the end of his race. So that is going to hurt him. Maybe he's done it for content, so he can be closer to JC for the battle for the wine. But he was having a decent race so far, so I don't quite suspect that was entirely it. And Lucas Keys now up to P9, lap 28, turn 7, says Ben Curtis. So yeah, Lucas Keys up to P9. I have a feeling he's going to catch up to the back of Sakanius and this little battle of Sakanius and Marshall fairly quickly.
As we keeping my eyes on the silver battle, Wesley Yao just 3/10 in front of Ben Piper as well. So that decision to not take tyres seems to be hurting Wesley Yao a ton. It's qualifying in the top 10. Probably I think it's 2 races in a row. It's kind of the races not fallen apart, but not quite had the pace. And when everyone around you's got those fresher tyres, it really stands out. That it's just going to drop back through the field. Maybe a little bit lucky with Darryl Lim having to have that drive through for track limits. So we got Buscovas, still 4/10 behind Vintner. So that's going to be. I thought he might have had it done by now. That pace that he had, that 2 or 3/10 pace. But as you say, it's just so hard to pass around here, and the McLaren doesn't have the straight line speed of some of our other cars as well. So. Interesting to see how he gets this move done.
Yeah, and the Aston are generally quite strong on corner exit. It's able to just utilise its good TC. And here's the Layla Bell incident. So there's Saxon Hayes behind. I have a feeling I know what's coming. Bit of a lunge there from Saxon. Oh yeah, just taps the back of Bell, overcorrects it and turns around. That's very unfortunate. So that's a 10-second penalty.
Pretty clear cut that one.
yeah. I mean, he kind of made it and then maybe just misjudged the speed of the Porsche and gave her a little tap on the rear. But anyway, we move on to Ben Vintner here, who's defending for his life here against a much faster Stan Buscovas at the moment. But as we've seen, the Aston has very good traction out of corners. So as long as Vintner can just kind of plant the foot, you'll probably be able to see. He will get a good drive on the corner exit, especially onto that back straight, which is kind of the main overtaking zone, and Stan's going to have a bit of difficulty. And as we see there, Stan just washing a bit wide on that exit. That's the result of the dirty air coming through turn 6 as the cars try to corner at higher speeds. But you can see that braking difference there. Buscovas able to brake quite a bit later, possibly due to having new tyres. But yeah, as we go to the straight now, you just see Vintner able to possibly eke that advantage out a little bit, especially on corner exits. Stan's quite oversteery, having trouble with that McLaren and getting the power down.
And I also just think the difference between Lele's, let's not commentate a curse, but done an absolute fantastic job out the front. The difference between kind of first and fifth in points is about 40 points in terms of the championship. And currently, Lele's about 40 points behind Britton Vintner. So not only is this important for, only tonight and, trying to be as high as possible, but you know, it kind of gives Lele a bit of a sniff in this championship as well. So it's definitely something to keep tabs on, because, you know, the battle is just tightening up so fast, and Lele's just, you know, kind of put the last 2 weeks together, and the momentum seems to be on his side at the moment.
Kind of reminds me of F1. You know, you had Paul Britt, kind of like Oscar Piastri, leading the way at the start of the season, and then just possibly just dropping off a little bit over the last few rounds, and what's his name, Lele, just really stitching it together over the past few weekends, is coming up to pose a bit of a threat heading into the final rounds of this season. And there goes Blake Griffiths around the outside of Ryan Anderson, who's struggling quite a lot. That's a big snap, so maybe another victim of not taking tyres here. As that's Daryl Lim as well, right in front of this group, having to defend from the Nissan, which is coming quite hard and fast. Nissan's going to try go around the outside, but that's just not going to work at that corner. And the big Nissan's going to have to wait for a bit better opportunity, possibly down the straights.
Just want to point out to everyone, look at the track temperature right now. It's exactly the same as our ambient. It's absolutely freezing compared to what all of these drivers done. So it's also interesting to see if the guys on the actual fly have adjusted their tyre pressures before the pit stop. So, you know, I'm thinking of, you know, the likes of JC, who pitted really early, you know, just thought, you know what, the track's still going to be 18 or 20 degrees, and now it's all the way down to 14 degrees. It's absolutely freezing compared to where we started our race tonight.
Yep, that's definitely true, and it will make a big difference to your lap times, not setting the pressures correctly. So that's just another thing you kind of have to think about when you're driving, on top of, you know, just driving the car, battling people, doing your pit correctly, all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes that's quite easy to just forget about when you're watching from at home. As we're on board with Ryan Anderson. We'll see if he has any sort of traction or stability problems, although he's a very smooth driver anyway, so drives a little bit deep into the 90-degree right, but not too much traction issues going on right now. But I do believe he has lost a few positions since the start of this race, possibly, so maybe a few things just not quite going his way.
Yeah, Ryan was in front of that giant train that we had, that had, I think it was all the way out just behind Prakash Armstrong, so it was kind of in and around that 13th place mark. So yeah, probably lost 4 or 5 positions over the course of the race, whether it was incidents or pure pace, and just got passed by a few people. But yeah, as you say, like, just still struggling with it, trying to be as smooth as he can, and, you know, if whether or not can make a bit of an opportunistic pass with Blake in front of him, because she's doing a great job. And Daryl Lim, you know, I thought had some great pace, but evidently struggling here late in the race as well.
Yellow flag for car 5, I've just noticed, and they also got a penalty for a move at the final corner. That's Kieran Reid in the Audi, and there goes the leaders past him right now, actually. So there's Jaden Rondinella in that McLaren, in that terrible looking McLaren that just appears every week, and we have to look at that thing, unfortunately. But I was wondering, with Vintner and Buscovas, has there been any progress on that battle, considering we are in the last sort of 5 minutes of the race now? And yeah, stands still behind Vintner, so Vintner's tyres will be completely dying at this point if he didn't pit. Although the gap to Rondinella has actually come down, which is kind of counterintuitive. You'd think it would have gone up if he's not taken tyres. And
I was going to say, I think Rondinella's just gone through all that lap traffic, so maybe I should just keep that in mind as well. Just if he caught that in the wrong spot, I think he might have caught it through that sector 1 area. So rather than catching him all in a straight line, so I might have just slowed him down a fair bit as well. But Scovis is probably licking his lips here. He's like, you know what? Vinsner's probably pretty happy with the fact that, like, yeah, cool, we've got 5 minutes or 4 minutes to go now, which is about 3 laps, but these lap cars could potentially provide an opportunity coming to the end here.
Just looking for a move there, but can't quite get it done under brakes in that McLaren. And Lucas Keys right on the back of this battle too. So don't discount him coming into the final sort of 3 or 4 laps of this race. Lucas Marshall a little bit wide on the exit of the final corner, running a little bit of that sand. Doesn't seem to have slowed him down too much though, but he definitely has Sicanius for company, who's doing a pretty good job in P8 leading the silver class. But I know George has done quite a lot of laps here. I think he likes this track. I've seen him around here a little bit, so obviously he's well in the groove now, coming into the final 3 minutes of this race, and he's going to potentially try get past Lucas Marshall, who, even though isn't technically in his class, it's still a position that I'm sure he'd be happy to get. And he's right on the back now. Lucas Marshall going defensive into turn 8. They're going to run side by side through this tricky left-hander. Sicanius goes wide. I'm not sure if there's contact there, and that's going to allow Lucas Marshall to kind of get away, and Lucas Keys now to get right on the back of George Sicanius.
Mate, George Sicanius is just going to have a big L. They're either going to get past Lucas or get passed by Lucas. So that's all up for grabs right here. But I actually think Lucas Marshall actually passed George Sicanius as well, because those two actually were the other way around a few laps ago. So
yep.
Yeah, now that we've got a little bit of gap here, and Lucas Marshall's going to try and do a Breno Ellis and do a bit of a runner and try and get away, as Lucas Keys and Jordan now do battle coming into the last 2 laps. But yeah, on our right hand screen, as everyone can see, we've got Benny V, Mr. Smooth, still keeping Buscovis at bay at the moment, and yeah, still a lap and a half, or yeah, essentially a lap and a half to go as the blue flags get nicely out of the way. That's very considerate of our top pros, making sure we get some clean racing finishing off here.
Yeah, Sicanius not giving this one up easily. I don't know if you noticed before as we went to the split screen, he was very defensive against Lucas going down the back straight, so he's not letting Lucas take this one easily, and he's kind of placing the car where he needs to hold this position. But this is where he's going to be vulnerable. He has a slide on the exit as well. That GTR is going to be pretty close to him come the main straight down the back if Lucas just hooks it together for the next few corners. And there is a penalty that's come through, but I can't quite see what it's for.
I don't have my magnifying glasses on, yeah. So I can't see that one. Hopefully Diabol's in the chat can help us out with that in a second.
Yeah,
John's a little wide.
Oh, I think he's going to get eaten by the GTR here. He does
get it parked on the inside.
He's going to go very defensive here, and Lucas is going to have no way through on the inside. He's just going to have to try hold the outside. This is going to get interesting. Lucas Keys on the outside, George Sicanius on the inside for P8. Oh, Lucas gets a bit of contact there from George, gets pushed wide, and maybe that's a penalty on the way, but that is just hard side-by-side racing through that sector. It's very difficult to run side by side through there, and now we're heading onto the final lap. So this is the last sort of chance for Stan Buscovis. He's got a decent run through those first sort of 2 corners there, and if you could just try to hang really close in that sort of 3/10 range behind Ben Vintner, he might be able to engineer a pass onto one of the straights. But that Aston is so strong. Oh, George Sicanius is off at turn 1 as well. There's too much to watch right now, but Sicanius off the track. That's going to allow Lucas
tactical track cut.
Close up. Yeah, tactical track cut. As Stan Buscovis has just dropped off that Aston Martin at the end of sector 1. So unless he can really pull up that gap before the straight, I reckon that's his last opportunity. It's going to disappear quite quickly for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, Mr. Smooth, as we watched the last 2 weeks, just really looks after those tyres so well. And I think what you pointed out earlier, just that Aston Martin's drive off the corner is just a little bit superior to the McLaren at the moment, probably with those rear tyres screaming, you know, trying to get off the park. But we see Ashan Lele and camera 1 on the left here coming through to one last corner, make sure no track cuts if he's on 3, who knows. But absolute fantastic job again. Bit of a classy drive. And we had Vedica kind of closing down, but not enough laps to go. So those two kind of class of the field tonight, P1 and P2. And Lupti coming home in P3. So I think that must be one of his best results that he's had this season. So really well done. And Mr. Smooth holds on in front of Buscovis.
Yeah. Well done to Lupti for securing that P3. I saw him in the practice server a little bit, so obviously he put a little bit of practice into this one to make sure he did well. And that's a that's JC,
JC.
I would dare to say, from what I just saw. But yeah, MISANO comes through into P4, followed by Buscovis, Raupi, Marshall, Sakanius, who managed to hold off a very aggressive Lucas Keys towards the end. Ben Piper just crossing the line now, as we're seeing some crashing post-race. And Wesley Yao coming through to take that third spot in silver. So not a complete disaster, but also not really exactly where he had hoped to finish, I reckon. Followed by Brian Kong, Pascal Armstrong, Zach Jensen, Blake Griffiths, Daryl Lim is going to cross the line soon. What a race it could have been for him as well, but track limits got to him. And Krista Arth also got a track limit DT on the last lap, so very unfortunate for him as they crossed the line.
That hurts. Mate, Pascal Armstrong, that's a very classy drive from him tonight as well. So just under 10-second Pro-Am victory for him. I think he'd be very happy with that drive, and especially a top 15 result as well in this quality field.
And that's a bottle of wine that JC owes Saxon Hayes even after those penalties that he received. So I believe on that end screen he was in fact in front, so that's a bottle of red or white owed by JC to Saxon after their little challenge between them on who can finish higher.
Very good, mate. Mate, I don't think I can go too far past Eshan Lele as driver of the night for me. I think done such a classy job. You know, was it? Yeah, started on the front row and didn't get caught up in the Lucas Johnson melee, as we shall see. I'm not even sure if Lucas even finished the race. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
It might have been we didn't see him late on, so it might have been an absolute rage quit of a race. And I don't blame him. Some of those races, you just go, yep, you know what? Tonight's not the night. But Eshan done an absolute classy job tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Vediger. He got a few positions there, kind of used his opportunities well, overtook. And Rondinella also did a pretty good job considering kind of what was going on there to just kind of consolidate his position. And he hasn't had too many podiums, so I'm sure this one will come as a welcome one for him. So yeah, either Vediger or Rondinella would be my drivers of the day. But the final results are top three. Sean Lele taking out the win, Josh Vediger in P2, followed by Jaden Rondinella, Vintner, Buscovis, Raupi, Marshall, Sakanius, Keys, and Ben Piper taking out the top 10. For silver, we have George Sakanius taking the win, Ben Piper in P2, followed by Wesley Yao in P3. For Pro-Am, we have Alex Pascal Armstrong taking out the win. Well done by him. Zach Jensen in P2 and Blake Griffiths in P3. And for AM, we have Paul Cranich taking out the win, followed by Nate James.
Did you see what comes through on YouTube chat? That JC didn't have a pit limiter set up on his new wheel. It's outrageous.
That makes me
oh my god, that definitely makes a lot more sense of why he was speeding in the pit lane. You know, but that definitely, yeah, that's why.
Turns out the pit limit is important. Yeah, we can do the wheel.
The wheel, yes. My name's on there this time. Come on, pick me.
Wheel of Fortune, here we go.
Come on, I did this all last season and didn't have my name on there. I'm in with a chance. Come on.
Oh, it's Andy Bishop. Well done to Andy Bishop for receiving the Thermaltake mouse. Also remember, everyone submit your thermal overtakes of the week. I reckon there was probably a few good contenders from that race to submit, so don't forget about that. And from us in the comms box, me, Aiden Squires, and Davo here, thanks for watching, everyone. Stick around for Split Green in about 10 minutes time, and they'll surely provide some good racing for us as well.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Split Green of the Thermaltake Sprint Series here, round 5 of MISANO for season 23. Looking forward to the TT Cup finals as well that we've got coming along, and should be very interesting as we take the overall top 24 point scorers across both seasons. But here we are at MISANO. I'm Cameron Fizzleblade, and fresh out of the car is obviously Blake Griffiths, and of course we've got Glenn in the cameras as well. Much appreciated, everyone. Sorry for the small delay, but we just had a little thing to sort out with the server, got it rebooted, everyone's fired out, and everyone's undertaking qualifying. Blake, how's things?
Yeah, very well, thank you, Cam. How are you doing?
I'm a banana.
Very, very fair. But yes, we're in for a little bit more action here. I heard yellow was pretty action-packed. It was relatively quiet at my end of the track.
You heard? You should have been seeing it.
Well, I was driving. I also had to have my number of cars on track turned down. You know, the PC's getting a little bit old, it's getting a little bit grey at the edges. You know, so. We are seeing some of our benchmarks coming in. I believe that these are going to be our first flying laps. It is Bakita straight to the top. You would have only got $1 for your dollar on that bet.
Yeah, absolutely. Bakita's back for this round. I believe they missed Kota last week, so back on the course for this season. And thanks to Glenn as well pointing out to me just before the stream that Bakita is very much vying to try and get a spot in the top 24, because obviously they didn't compete last season, so they're a little bit up against it, trying to get into that top 24 for the TT Cup finals. Thank you again, of course, to the lovely folks at Thermaltake helping us keep these servers and races running that we all love as we close out 2025.
Yeah, as far as I could tell, she's about 100 and a smidge over 100 points behind currently 24th ranked Aiden Squires. Shout out to Aiden, who was just in the booth. But obviously there's a lot of moving parts because people are still getting points. But if there's anyone I think that can sneak their way back in, it is probably Filippo Bakita.
Yeah, definitely a me feat. And obviously they pretty much got that drop round out of the way for this season as well. Because obviously they missed last week, as well as other than the wet round we had at Watkins Glen, they've been pretty on form as Bakita in the Mercedes AMG. But either way, let's focus down on quali, as we should start getting some of the first down laps right now. And looks like we're following Manxel as well. I believe a somewhat newcomer as well to the series in the last few races. I'd love to see another BMW on the grid.
Yeah, it's always a pretty welcome sight. It's a car that's a little bit here and there, so I like to see another one. Just checking on where they stand this season, because I don't actually remember seeing them earlier this year, but I may be remembering. I have taken over this spot from the wonderful Tim Gobe, who unfortunately, due to the race control, due to the shifting time zones of Australia, had to graciously bow out. But for now, Manxel sitting in P11, not on a proper lap that time around, but we'll see what they can muster up this time.
Yeah, Manxel, what I can say, was definitely a bit of an absentee from early in the season, or either a mid-season join, but great to have them here as well. And look like they are pretty on pace as well in the silver class. As we've seen, obviously BMW, it's a little bit tricky to see Stefano Ricciuti in the two-tone white and purple Ferrari, just getting extra wide there on the exit of turn 6, and definitely coming up a cropper, getting out the way for Turat Bank. And
yes, as far as I can tell, Manxel's actually only competed in 2 rounds thus far. They missed the first 2, but with a decent little haul of points each time, so nice start to their Octane career.
Yep. And just a touch-up point on things as well, I believe we got quite medium to low temperatures as well. I believe split yellow was kind of we're looking in the mid-teens, probably around 15 ambient, I imagine. So tires definitely still going to be feeling it, because it's quite a high-energy track, not a lot of camber, and a lot of medium speed corners just to test the grips. Speaking of testing the grips, Jack Millett finds where the limit is as well. Track limit's obviously another point in this race as we go for Jacob Max as well. Definitely been a bit of a stalwart in this series, being right there at the top, but very hard to dethrone Bakita. And at the times as well, Damiano Fercolini, when he's been on form as well. Going now into turn 9 and 10. Very tricky corners, but Ferrari not too bad either. Can't recall too many Ferraris from split yellow, but we did see the McLarens looking very strong at the end of split yellow. Top 3 were all McLarens, and shout out as well to Lele Rondinella. They did an excellent job in split yellow.
Oh, Damiano here. He's a little bit far away from the top where I would expect him to be. He was laying down some quite tasty times in the practice servers I saw earlier. So we'll have to keep an eye out for Damiano in the closing stages of this qualifying. But we just see Mags flying around. Ooh, that's very wide and a little bit of a bunny hop. So he's going to have another crack or two at that one.
Yeah, and just a bookkeep as well. Filippo Bakita did a 32.5. Looks like Mags is there going to walk back to pits to get for a new fresh set, but Bakita has already gone to a 32.5. 2/10 ahead of Glory Babby. It looks like they're just getting prepped up for another lap. They need to get going quickly because Noah Reinhardt is right there, but Philippa's timed it to perfection, not impeding the Cyan Ferrari. Going well now, I believe. So pole time for Lele in split yellow was a 32.8. So yeah, Bakita's well truly blitzed that, as well as Babby and Naeem as well. Good to see Naeem here as well in the GTR. Should be very interesting to find out how they go.
Yeah, Babby and Naeem keeping it relatively honest, only about 2/10 back, but it is a relatively short circuit, so the differences are minimal to say the least, but we'll see if she can improve on that whatsoever. Getting right all the way out there as much as you like. Gonna send it down to... Do you know the corner names of this track? They're very Spanish, I believe.
Yeah, looking at this one, Querica that we just went through and Tramonto that we're about to arrive. So I can see what you mean with the Spanish, especially that one that we just went through.
Quercia. My Spanish accent is not very good, in case you hadn't noticed.
No hablo inglés.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. It's like bitter in German.
Yeah, anyway. But for
Speaking
now...
of German, Mercedes.
Yeah, big rig, this Mercedes. Interestingly, I think this is the only one in the split. Obviously championed by a very racy driver. Pip actually pulling out of this one. Gonna let a bit of traffic go through, but there's not actually a lot of space on this track for her to find her way. And I do wonder if that's Gia Coman behind her. I think she'll be fine, but not exactly the person I want to have behind me. Gia Coman, a very quick driver in his own right.
Only 2 more chances to do lap times with 1 minute 45 on actually crossed the line. 32 lap time. Naeem here in some excellent colours, I will say. I think reminiscent of the old JGTC cars that we know in the R32s. As ever with a GTR, the front right lets it clip through the front fender. But 210s up now for Admiral Naeem in a 333. So you see how he gets through turn 9, and turn 9 not too much of a problem, but turn 10 a long sweeping corner, and you have to really kind of wait until you get on the throttle, as it does start to tighten a little bit towards the end. Just got John Hislop there ahead of him, but shouldn't be impeded at all. But 1/4 of a second up so far. On board now, going into the last couple of corners. I hate these 2 corners. In particular, is the weight transfers that you have to bleed off the speed. Gets it round the hairpin as well. TC1 in the GTR, as you'd expect. Not using first gear either. It's too much for this car. And coming out to the last corner, it looks like he's lost a bunch of his time, but still got a 10th, and it will improve things. But gets wide and slides, and unfortunately not going to help the next lap either, as he's already going to lose about half a 10th just running the turn 1. Not great for Admiral Naeem.
It's crazy watching the onboard with Naeem as we jump across, but I'll just comment, like driving the same car, obviously my pace nowhere near Admiral's, but the aggression in the input and what he's trying to do is stuff that I couldn't even really consider. I would have absolutely lost that, and I mean, he technically did lose that, but yeah, like opening up that last corner to really fling it in, it's very aggressive driving from Naeem.
Like many of these cars, and I think particularly some of these front-engine cars as we follow Philippa as well on this lap, they kind of require, kind of like for these esports guys, like they need kind of, as well, while they chuck the car around, they need kind of like very clean one inputs just to reduce how much the TC kicks in, especially with some of the cars where the TC is not as good, where the Mercedes is starting to feel the age a little bit based on some of the other cars. But yeah, it's kind of a sort of a calm, accurate precision a lot required, which, you know, kind of makes sense as well why those guys are so far up towards the top. It's probably now looks like Philippa backed out of the last lap as well, so really not happy. Only about half a tenth up so far as they're on the back straight. Plenty of horsepower from the AMG to get things going. Cuts a lot into the last second to last corner on the straight, and around the hairpin as well. Good getting it round, losing a little bit on the exit, but gained overall coming out to the Panola corner. Ooh, big hitting of the curb, and unfortunately invalidates and boxes because that's laps over and not gonna have time to go again.
Yeah, it's looking very tidy, but and the AMG just able to munch up those curbs, but unfortunately, it is not to be. But I mean, it's a bit here and there because Bikita does find herself P1 anyway from Glory Babby, Admiral Name rounding out your podium. Well, what are we in for here, Cam? You got any predictions?
I predict we're in for a 60-minute race, but that's all I'll give you. But I will say there is a pit stop as well. One mandatory for fuel. Fixed rate though, 25 seconds, so you will be boxing for at least 25 seconds regardless, so it's only 5 seconds extra to take tires, but you know, we'll see if that one anyone actually takes that, because track position is pretty dominant, I will say, around here. Not an easy place to get a move on unless you got the horsepower.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one, because a little bit of first-hand experience from the race I just hopped out of. I opted to take tyres, which I actually have been trying not to do as much as my skill improves, but I actually think it was the right call. I had a lot of pace on the people around me towards the end of the race, and I don't think that they did take tyres, so if you're confident you can get a move done, it's not the worst thing in the world. But the temperatures this time aren't as high as they usually find them here in Spain, so it might not be, you know, as necessary to say, but it'll be up to these guys how their tires are feeling. And you know, you touched on earlier, some of the older cars, the TC is not so great. You really start working the tires. Some of the newer cars might not be feeling it as bad, so we'll have to wait and see what these guys decide to do.
Yeah, will be very interesting. Well done for getting through that while Mr. Glenn was trying to get Godfrey to give us the bombastic side-eye from the Honda as well. That'll be your field as well, so it'll be Bikita from Glory Babby in the Mustang. You see, Glory is looking pretty on form, I will say, of lately. It will be interesting to see how they get out. Giacomo, I believe, is P4 and 9 P3. A little surprised, obviously, Mr. Fercolini is P2 in the championship, but it looks like he is behind a trio of Ferraris, and as well as another Ferrari and Miller as well. So he's got a lot of mid-engine cars to negotiate. Porsche, to my knowledge, has been strong in the past around MISANO, but not too sure how the new one gets along, but I imagine it shouldn't be any different. But I imagine there's quite a bit of bop based on how strong it can be here.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, Damiano was one to watch out for, so I am a little bit surprised to not even see him in that top 8. We'll see if he can get anything done, particularly in the early stages of the race. But yeah, I would have thought that, you know, me driving the brick of the GCR, I was like, damn, I wish I had some downforce. So it's interesting to see we've got a couple of front engine cars, big bricks up the front, and then you've got a whole plethora of aero dependent cars behind. So we'll see. So there's Daviado. He must be in P9 by my estimate.
Yep, P2 in the championship, only 12 points behind Bikita, with Bikita's some of the recent efforts and T's. Looks like we have got someone who's failing to get going. We're on the GTRs 24. I want to say that's Jusman. I could be wrong on that one. Don't have my board up right now, but yeah, getting things going. Still haven't moved either, so I think they're going to be RTG'd, hopefully. I'm sure the race director is getting onto it, and I'm sure thank you to everyone as well who helped put these races on as well. All the race directors, stewards, everyone's sorting things out. We do appreciate all of you. It will be very interesting to see how the start goes as well, because it can be pretty chaotic here. And we saw from Split Yellow, track limits is proving quite a bane for a lot of these drivers. It is probably one of the toughest tracks based on how much time you gain from, let's just say, skirting the track limits.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's something to be said about just really trying to keep it clean. I think you can nab yourself a few positions by not getting yourself a drive through. It's so easy to do here. There's like 3 or 4 corners that I think are really really on the ragged edge if you're really pushing the car. So in my race myself, I actually got 2 immediately back-to-back on laps, and I had to really reel myself in as to not get my own drive-through penalty.
Yep, and the closing thoughts from me as we get to looks like 28 has started going as well, so we'll unfortunately not catch up, and looks like they've stopped and probably will RTG and do a pit start. But I will leave things in your hands, Blake Griffiths, to take the start as well, and best of luck, because I think we're going to see a lot of action.
Thank you very much, Cam. We're double file rolling down the pit straight. It's a pretty short run here to the line. Bakita from Babby, which of these... That isn't the pit straight. Jeez Louise. Can you tell I just raced? Now we're on the pit straight. Bakita and Babby side by side as they lead away this pack, and we are going to be green in 3, 2, 1. Damn, I'm good. Bakita gets a really good start, and Giacomin actually gets a quite nice start, but that Mustang has some legs, and that pony is galloping. Bakita over the curbs. They're about 4 wide in the mid-pack here. Very wide from Amaral Name. He's going to take the escape road, but he's kind of just stopping. I'm not sure if there's a problem there, but for now, Bakita a well away. Oh, it's all gone wrong for Amaral Name. He's going to find himself well to the back of the pack. But looking a bit further forward, there's no carnage to be had thus far for the first couple of corners. Well done, everyone. And just catching up. Also, Jasmine didn't start from the pits, interestingly, so they've probably found themselves worse off than they were beforehand. A little bit deep there from Mags, but nothing too crazy. For now, it is Bakita from Babby, from Giacomin, Mags, Miller, Hislop, and Rashuti. We'll see if anything shakes up this far, but it's been a very clean start. Cameron Disselway. Oh no!
Oh no, it's because before I even utter a syllable, there's been death at the last quarter, turn 10, as things are going too well, but I think we can chalk that up to a curse from you, but we got a safety car right now, and they'll at least get 28 off the hook as they can catch up, but yeah, a very interesting start as well. Jack Miller, I saw, was right up the inside. Stefano Tribucciuti, I think the big loser out of the top 10, or at least the top races going into turn 1, lost a few positions and ended up behind. It will be interesting to see. Obviously, safety car will probably go around at least this lap. It's too late to call it back in, and obviously got to let it do at least 1 lap, so no one is allowed to box right now unless it's for imperative damage, and they may not serve their mandatory stop. I was going to say, it was a pretty clean race one. It looks like there was a little bit of contact at turn 10, another kind of danger zone. Not too surprising, these early part of the races, and all these drivers keeping things clean, because collisions are still on right now.
Yeah, that was pretty intense there. There's quite a few cars, one turn around, and then I think a couple just picked them up. So it does look like we are going to go...
I think we're going to see some pits at the end of this lap as we go racing, I imagine, at the end of this lap.
And Justin gets to hang their hat on that fastest lap, having to catch up to everyone who was under safety car.
Yeah.
But I believe we are racing again, actually.
Not too sure.
No? I don't know. I need to see Pip, I think.
No, we're not. We're definitely not.
Okay. Yeah. There. See, that's a lot more apparent.
Why would you confuse us like this? Why would you do that?
Look, Mama B is a little bit tired, all right? So, I'm working
Either
through
way,
it.
Mr. Amaral 9, gets a little bit off the hook. He was kind of right there on the tail end of the pack anyway. Not too sure what's happened to him. I'm sure we'll find out. Maybe might have flicked the ignition as he went into the first couple of corners. It can happen, which looks like why he had to maybe stop the car and reboot. Then maybe a wheel reset and he didn't have feedback. I'm not too sure. I'm sure we'll find out. But yeah, unfortunately, that's really taken him out of the fight. As it is going to be, yeah, Bakita, Babby, and Giacomin as the top three. You did see Giacomin looking quite feisty as well as he does on the back of Babby. Be interested to see how things go. And we will be in, sorry, one more lap as well. Thank you to Aiden Squires in the chat. I don't know, he says one more lap. I don't know. You feeding me lies, Aiden?
Yeah, I was going to say, surely there's not another lap after this. That would be pretty excessive.
Either way, I think we'll be going back to green. Potentially, It looks like Bakita's and Giacomin's right there. And everyone needs to be careful and will not be looked at very nicely from the stewards if you make contact under safety car. And Philippa is really waiting and looks like, yeah, gonna absolutely go at the last corner. Gets a good run. Babby left hanging a little bit. Giacomin right on the tails as well. It'll be a bit much to send it into turn one as the rest of the field gets through as well and see if things can go cleanly. Will safety cars breed safety cars? I think where it might be okay for now.
Yeah, you say that, but we've still got to navigate turn 10 as well.
If you keep talking on your rate so far.
Well, I think that they should be okay. There's some pretty big gaps happening there already, but we jump on board with Noah Reinhardt in the Dynaco Ferrari. Lovely cyan Ferrari. He's actually having a relatively good run of form. He does find himself vaguely in the mix for the TT final in about 40th position, and the points are very, very close between them all, so he's one to keep a little eye on. He does go very, very deep there, but don't think it's going to open up too many opportunities for the car behind him for now. So we do right on board. We're looking right in the background. It looks like the gaps are plenty. There's not going to be any more carnage. Cameron, this way.
Give it a momentary pause, for the person that unfortunately is going to be killed, with Blake really trying to set the curses right now. Drive-through penalty for car 31. Not too sure what that is for right now. Will be appreciated. Oh, there we go. Perfect eyeballs right on DT for passing under SC and failing to listen to the race director. No. D Manxell, we were praising him for his speed earlier on, but looks like he has fallen afoul of the stewards, and the DT is going to be extremely costly around here. Fastest lap now for Glory Babby. Really kind of maybe trying to put Philippa on the pressure, but does Philippa feel pressure?
Probably not. I don't think so. I think she's a race with more on the line than this for the time being. But, I think it's all to play for still. But Babby, looking pretty racy right now. Ryan Anderson just pumping in the chat that there's a new ACC patch out. That is, someone get the bottles, man.
They're trying to...
bottles out.
It's been a while, but Kunos are really trying to, they love to put patches out when we're trying to do anything. It's the old classic way, ACC way.
That's crazy. That's not going to affect this race, is it? Oh. Hey, better not be losing. 685. Surely they can squeeze in some performance updates and like a whole car. Corvette C8, anyone?
Wishful thinking, I will say. I wish it could happen. I'm just wanting to fix that invalidation from the first time lap in qualifying bug, if anything. But let's not try and let's keep things realistic. So it probably won't happen. Very wide F from Glory Babby. Almost like didn't look too bad on the entry, but absolutely just understeered wide, and it really going to give Giacomin something to think about, trying to get on the toe tails of the Ford Mustang. Fastest lap is still for the Mustang in the Penrite colours, but definitely going to be struggling if he has too many of those hairpins. Bakita now takes that fastest lap as well in the 33.5. We'll be interested to see. Unfortunately, that safety car, I think, has really kind of spaced out the field a little bit. Not too much, but it kind of just took away a bit of that diciness, but hey-ho, we take what we can get. Maybe I'm just looking for the content. But yeah, Philippa Bakita, potentially 150 points, I believe, for the win on the line right now. And he said only about 100 points away from being in that top 24. Granted, that's, relying on everyone else to not score points between her and P24 in the overall scorings, but I'm sure you're 2 races to go, 2 potential wins, or even a couple of seconds. I feel like it could be right there. Clean race is all she needs right now.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about her chances personally, but I think we're seeing like a little bit, about 3 different packs sort of forming of different pace bands for now, but I think there'll be stuff to be had. There's a pit stop to throw a spanner in the works here. You have to nail that, and I think drive-throughs are going to be a flow-in later on. So we'll just have to wait and see. Jump on board with Rob Underwood, one of the champions of the Lamborghini. Only a few of those. It's a dying breed thus far, but Rob actually having a really nice return to form in his return to sprints. I don't think he raced last season. So we'll see what he can manage. He's chasing down Damiano, who we thought was gonna have a bit of a better qualifying, but for now he finds himself near the bottom end of the top 10.
It looks like as well behind them, the level Lamborghini, I believe, has gone past Martin of McLeod. So that is a position swap, and definitely going to help Underwood's chances in silver. He is leading silver right now by quite a margin as well.
He's not. Miller is leading silver.
I meant silver in the championship as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you?
Look, I just like poking holes in your stories, Cam.
Oh, what are you, British media? Looking for anything?
Yeah.
Anyway, Richardi really, speaking of trying to poke holes, trying to poke in the holes in Troop's defense right now, but he's got Jack Miller as well to worry about. So he tries to get a move done. Bit of a bad exit there from Trupatelli out of turn 8, going in now into turn 9 and 10. Hard to make a move on fellow same machinery, especially coming down to the straight now. Trupatelli will still have a draft from the McLaren, even though Rashidi is right there to capitalize. I'm not sure it'll be enough. He'll have to be quite sendy. And that's not really Richudi's style either.
I think Richudi usually a pretty measured driver, so we'll see if he can figure out where his lop is weak and try to put a move on. If you're looking to make a move yourself, Cameron, what turns are you looking at?
I'd say, to be honest, to run into turn 8, but it is so car dependent, I will say, around here. Turn 8, turn 9 and 10 can be done. Kind of relies you to really upset them into turn 8, because sometimes you can't get the move done, and that, you go side by side into turn 9 and 10 potentially as well. We go 1, 2 right now, and turn 3 not really the place to make a move done. Potentially sometimes into turn 4 if they get a bad run through turn 3, but these cars are so capable now of doing turn 3 properly. It's definitely not too much of a trouble, and as I say, it is so car dependent. If you got me being in the let's say Ford front engine cars with their, let's say, agility, can prove a little bit undone. But there's so many short straights around here where the acceleration of those cars really starts to keep them towards the tippity top, I will say.
Yeah, very fair. So you do see Hislop taking a slightly narrower line, but getting all the way back out there, and Rashidi goes very, very deep. Gonna have to sling it all the way back around. That's not what you want if you're trying to get past. But I do think these guys are both kind of catching up to Miller here, so we'll see. And Miller about 2.5 seconds back from Mags further up the road. So Miller right now a little bit of a cork in the bottle. We'll see. I think there is a move if you can force. If you get a good exit out of Tremonto, turn 10.
Oh, the
Miller,
curse.
So deep. He's recovered a little bit. He's going to have the inside here. His lop has to go very wide and go super duper deep, and that's actually going to invite Rashudi here. He's on the inside. He's going to ride those curbs, and he actually gets it done. Very nice, Stefano.
It's kind of frustrating there for Trupatelli, because John Hislop, Jack Miller did go wide at the hairpin, but then John Hislop was kind of on the wrong side and had to go on the outside for the penultimate corner, and he kind of maybe left a little bit too much space for the McLaren, I have to say, as right now Damiano is so close to the back as well, maybe caught himself out a little bit trying to catch up to these guys. Saw a move just happen. He wants a bit of action as well, with Underwood right there as well in the Lamborghini. But yeah, it turns out it went for John went for the move and ended up getting past himself, and it was a good opportunity advantages and opportunities, I guess, opportunity from Mr. Raschuti to capitalize on that.
Yeah, just super compromised on that second to last corner, going side by side, and Stefano just absolutely able to make hay while the sun is shining here. For now, Hislop, I think, is actually going to have to look behind because Damiano's on a bit of a charge right now.
Yeah, it's going along. Might be getting a little bit of a slipstream. John is a little bit far back from Raschuti, and the Porsche is gaining ever so closely, but it's hard to get a move done through these corners. It's very one line. Sometimes you get it done into the hairpin, but it really requires the car ahead to get the first two corners definitely wrong. Ferrari mega out of the exit, even against the Porsche. And right now, Raschuti all over the back of Jack Miller as well. And Jack has to go on the defensive, which is going to slow those guys up. And we're going to arrive on scene with John and Mr. Damiano coming down into turn 1 as well. Sorry, Blake. And we're going into turn 2. It's all back and forth, back and forth. Blake, who do you think?
No, they're getting backed up a bit here. I think everyone's about to arrive on scene at the same time. Even Rob Underwood, they're just waiting to pounce in that black Lamborghini. So we'll see what can be done. I do think the point I was making just before we saw all that action with Miller, if you get a really good run out of T10 runners down the straight, get yourself side by side into that 11, 12, and 13 complex. And force the other car out wide, and then you have the inside line for 14, Caro, that third hairpin. You can make a move happen there, but it is a big ask, and you're asking the other car to be pretty respectful.
Bit of a slide there, bit of a shallower line for Jack Miller into the entry of turn 9 and 10. And a better run from the Ferrari, but the McLaren's got a bit of oomph down the straight either as well. The Ferrari lacking a little bit. Now starting to benefit a little bit from the slipstream, but unfortunately we get to the corners. There's not really any, but wide there from Jack Miller. But Stefano caught the bump on the inside, trying to capitalize, but did not make anything of it. There for it all neat through the hairpin, a bit wide there from Jack Miller again. He's really cracking and maybe a little bit under the pressure. I will say it's a lot from Stefano as well. He shows good pace. The McLaren did look pretty strong from split yellow as well, but Stefano, I think he's got a little bit of edge over Mr. Miller right now.
Yeah, a little bit scrappy there through that last sort of sector. Stefano's getting really under the wing here from Miller. Underwood's actually fallen off the back a little bit. Meanwhile, Admiral Name is putting in some work down the back there. Hislop very, very close to Raschuti. Raschuti is taking a little bit of a narrower line there. Damiano opening up that corner very nicely and getting under the wing as well of Hislop. But for now, they're spaced out just a little bit as we come to this second, third hairpin. Depends how you define the second set of corners. But for now, it is still Miller, Raschuti, Hislop, Thurcolini, and Underwood.
Such varying different lines from all these drivers. Granted, they're all in a few different cars, despite a couple of them being in the same Ferrari. But so many different lines, and I think that's kind of maybe like a few of these drivers might be driving a little bit more cautiously, trying not to get track limits, as it is going to be a sticking point a bit later on.
Yes, certainly. I think you have to be a little bit measured, and they might just be trying to find that weaker point. You can see Raschuti there, just very, very late apex compared to Miller. Miller sort of rode it around the middle. Very nice exit there for Raschuti. Jukes to the inside. It's not actually going to be there, but he wants to see if he can get Miller to bite on that. But for now, we're going to go around and do it all again.
Yeah, Miller. That's the only thing Raschuti can do right now. He needs to force a mistake from Miller. And Miller needs to, make sure he is defending, but not defending fresh air either, as it's just going to compromise his run to the next corner where Raschuti can pounce. Raschuti ducks out again. Damiano actually sends it, I think, there on John right now. I'm not too sure what came out of it. It looks like a bit of a send, but it looks like they didn't pull it off either. Maybe a little bit more committed. That's very wide though from Damiano. If that's not a track limit, at least it's a no time gain for sure. Underwood right now just vying for his waiting in the wings right now, waiting to strike, waiting to pick up any freebies. Oh, Jack really kind of slowed the exit there, and I think actually Mr. Ricciuti might actually back out a little bit. Gets really close under braking, gonna take the late apex and potentially a better run, but the McLaren, I think, has got the legs down the straight with good exits as well from the V8 twin turbo of the McLaren, just enough to keep him ahead.
Yeah, scrappy stuff there from everyone, but Miller just doing enough to hold on here. I think Ricciuti did have to check up a little bit into that second hairpin. But for now, see, look at, that's very, very deep from Miller, and I think that's going to invite side by side. Oh, there's a bit of a touch there as well. And Ricciuti's on this very, very wide line, and that could be a track cut too. And he's just lost out. Hislop has a lot of overspeed here, but nothing to be done right now. And we're going to do it all again.
Definition of insanity right now, and that's not just the racing, it's just repeating the same thing over and over again, but definitely a little bit more crack, a little bit more pressure. Or Stefano very wide down turn 2 and gonna John. I think John doesn't really want to fight, but he's gonna have to fight off Damiano as he actually got a run. It is side by side up to the mirrors, gets it to the apex as well, up the inside, should be day done for the Porsche. And here comes Underwood as well, contact between the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, and that is, thankfully both of them didn't go around, but unfortunately Ciuppatelli has lost a position there to Damiano. It's good capitalizing from Damiano there.
Yeah, I think Underwood wasn't ready, didn't realize that he's going to have a bit of a send here. He gets a little bit deep, and Hislop, I think, wasn't expecting that one. It's a small touch, but I think that was play on.
Yeah, not too sure on that one. Williams sure to kind of call that one a bit late. Chip really dives in late on the brakes, gets maybe a better run on the exit. But unfortunately, Mr. John Hislop is getting absolutely mugged right now from all these drivers. Let's just see what Damiano does now. I don't think he was catching Stefano at times, and Stefano makes mistakes. I don't think he really wanted to fight him because he knew he was faster. But unfortunately, kind of just backed him into the Porsche of Mr. Fercolini as well as Jack Miller. I think Jack Miller's taking 2 shallow entries because it keeps going very wide as well, and it's really where Stefano pounces. And it's a good run now from the penultimate corner, but even Stefano knows that's too far to send it. It's not a very long run between the second to last corner and the last corner, even to send it up the inside there.
Yeah, it's just a really, really difficult spot to try and get anything done. Hislop actually deciding to pit. I think that's relatively wise, finding himself just in a bit of trouble there. I don't know if he felt that he could get past those guys, but it was very, very dicey for quite a while.
Yeah, it's good from John Hislop as well to pit because, I think with all that, with you taking a few knocks here and there as well and losing a few positions, can dent your mentality a little bit and just, give you a bit of a reset, just get your pit done. You're not quite halfway, but we're pretty much there as well. Interesting to see. I can't imagine he would take tyres unless he's really feeling it underneath the car. I think the Ferrari should be okay, depending on how you pilot the car. Jack Miller still though defending now from Stefano Ricciuti. 8 seconds now to Jacob Max, so it is going to be a lot of work for Ricciuti when he gets past the McLaren, and we'll see if that actually happens. So actually a bad run from the McLaren. He was going a little squirrely on the exit as he went a little bit too wide on the exit of turn 10. Ferrari's going to close, but the McLaren, it's got the torque from the turbos just to keep it ahead, even with a slipstream from the Ferrari. He's going to look to the inside, but unfortunately it's just going to, and they're both going to run very wide, even wider for Jack Miller, despite he wasn't the one. He was taking the normal racing line, and a little bit wide on the exit again. This is how he likes it. Not too bad this time around. A bit slower through this penultimate corner. He's doing just enough right now to keep Stefano at bay, and Damiano is right there as well.
God, Miller just holding on by a thread here. Just made it back on track in time to get the defense in front of Ricciuti, but we'll see. I wonder if Damiano can force the issue between these guys, because I think he's had some pretty good pace thus far. We do have a couple of penalties coming through. Number 28, I think that was Jasmine, got a 5-second penalty for a bump pass that could not be redressed, and a couple of penalties for contact earlier. I think that was what we saw at turn 10 early on. But looking ahead, you see Giacomin actually staying within touching distance of Babby, and Babby's actually not too far off the back of Bakita either, only 1.3. So that's still a little bit spicy. But for now, looking at these guys, Ricciuti gets a very, very good run through Curcia. Miller having to go defensive. He's got a narrow line here. Rashudi's going to try and tuck it back under, but it's not quite. He's just going to... Yeah, Miller's very shallow there on the defensive, and this could be the run. If he can get it along the inside, we'll see if he can make something. But he actually goes to the outside, interestingly enough. Miller gets back on the racing line, and they're both just going to keep it regular this time around. I thought something might be on there, Cameron.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like it was going on from the exit of turn 8 where the McLaren didn't get the bid run, and I thought maybe Stefano might think he always keeps going to the outside. Maybe he could have had a go to the inside, but he's got a pit. He's going to maybe do an undercut. Wise move there, I think, from Stefano as well. I think that was maybe him saying, like, you know, I've had so many chances. I'm going to just stop wasting time here.
Yeah, I think that was relatively wise as well. I think he had that pace, but it just couldn't quite get it done. That McLaren was just doing just enough to keep it ahead. So we'll see. We'll keep tabs on Rashudi, see where he comes out. I think as well. Giuffatelli for now. Take it away, Cameron.
Oh, Giacomo getting really close there, but deja vu. We're going to see another Ferrari struggle to pass another car, maybe just right there on the tail. But you know, the car ahead just has enough poke as well. You know, maybe just V8s are better than V6s. I don't know. Right now, I'm seeing V8s lead. I'm just saying that. You know, unless it's a Nissan branded V6, yeah, then it's actually decent.
You know a lot about the technical specs of these cars, Cameron.
To be honest, it doesn't matter what you bring. It depends on... You're at the mercy of the BOP, sadly. But yeah, I will say, interesting. Yeah, Bakita is still... You know, normally see Bakita absolutely just sail off. We post her a postcard, and you know, because she's absolutely sailed off. But no, still right there as well. And any mistake, any little hiccup, I reckon, if it stays this gap coming to the pits, any sort of light hiccup is gonna really, you know, cost Pip, because Giacomo and Glory Babby are really there just to capitalize. Admiral Naim is still in this race, but he's not going to be in a position to really fight for the lead. He is in P18, and I will say, pretty impressive he did that fastest lap while he's having to deal with all the traffic as well.
Yeah, it's actually, I will correct you this time, it's 13th, not 18th. So Naim actually finding himself in sort of the middle of the field here, nearly at the halfway point of the race, so it's been a pretty good recovery. But yeah, interestingly, Babby and Giacomo are really catching to the back of Pip, because I mentioned them earlier, it was 1.5, it's only 1 second now, so yeah, as you said, they're very much within striking distance here. If Pip was to make a mistake, and I guess we'll have to see. I don't think it's going to be on the track. We'll see if Pip's practice a pit entry and a pit stop. But for now, Giacomo is still chasing the back of Glory Babby.
Yeah, absolutely. This looks, you know, definitely a little bit cleaner for the corners. Jacob Bax right there still as well, very close to capitalizing any sort of penalty, any sort of track limit or contact. He's going to be right there to capitalize. And, you know, shout out to Jacob Bax as well, because these are very quick operators as well. Not to say that he isn't, but these guys are a little bit another level as well at times. You know, we're talking about, you know, previous champions right now in Sprint Series, come and go. I believe Glory Bradley is definitely one of them. And I can't remember if Giacomo, and I wouldn't be surprised if Giacomo is. Don't even need to ask about the Mercedes in P1 right now.
Yeah, so Breno chiming in, hello Breno, saying he reckons that Babby should go for the undercut right now. We'll see how it plays out. I do think it could be worthwhile if he can find himself in a little bit of space. It's always a bit hard to visualize. I think there's some programs that help you see where you're going to come out, but it is a pretty short track, so the space is a little limited. And Barry might have just picked himself up a track limit warning.
Yep. Admiral Naim has come into the box as well to serve their mandatory. Interesting to see how he progressed easily. I think definitely top 10 is on the cards for Naim, potentially even a top 5 as well right now. I think Miller and all of them will have a certain GTR, you know, closing down on them towards the end of this race, if not earlier. But yeah, Giacomo gets so close, gets good runs out of these exits, but the Mustang has enough, despite the restrictor now, despite Aiden Squires, you know, screams for less boppage, it has still got enough to give it poke out of these corners. And the Mustang doing everything it can as well. getting very wide on some of these corners, so I'm sure these guys, maybe there's a few track limits between them. I wonder if anyone's on the dreaded third track limit as we approach nearly the halfway marker right now. Who blinks? Is anyway, Bakita boxes right now. Today, who blink? Very interesting for the leader to blink first, because it means they can't, they can't be undercutted really. And should be very interesting if these guys will react, or will these guys extend their stints as well.
Yeah, I think that's very, very interesting. I wonder if Pip is just not, the tyres weren't feeling super great, because as we pointed out, Babby and Giacomo were closing the gap on her. So just getting that half tyre delta sort of thing. But yeah, for now, these guys are going to keep going around. We'll see if they do come in. But Giacomo's getting very, very, very close to the back of Babby.
Yeah, every time it gets close on the exit of these corners, there's just enough of a straight for it to extend into the next braking zone, so you can't really get it sent on the brake side. But not to say Glory Babby isn't going to pull it up as late as he can as well. Looks like 326 as well, yeah, so Bakita still in the pits right now, but it looks like maybe they've seen the clear air and just knows that, might as well capitalize as well. They should be behind the 211. But they've got quite a gap to those cars, and especially that sort of pack that's going into turn rate right now, that's the biggest concern. Might be a bit close with 31 and 29, definitely going to be arriving out behind those guys, and potentially 88 might be okay from them as well. There we go, they've turned grey and it's already starting to go. I reckon Philippa just boxed early so they just can't be undercut. They'll just absolutely just, I'm gonna decide. I'm the one who chooses.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty relatively wise, and yeah, she's found herself in a lovely bit of space here. There's only a couple of cars ahead of her. Those cars 31 and 22, they have not pitted yet, so they technically don't have to give way, but I think everyone knows what Pip's about, so they'll probably get out of her way. Whoa, that would look very, very deep. That was very deep, but Giacomo's not quite there. So interestingly enough, we do have Underwood, Ferrugia, and Barker in the pits too. Barker, interesting one. I haven't seen much of him tonight. He's usually more at the pointier end of split green.
Yeah, it's a very good point, actually. I haven't seen too much of it. Completely will say I did forget that they were in this race. MISANO, I think, definitely is a little bit stickler for some people. It's a very technical track, a very difficult track, and then you have to keep it within the limits as well. Interesting, yeah, Admiral Naim there, just up the road, as he has already served his pit stop, so I'm sure he'll have enough pace to pull away from these guys. I wonder if he actually even took tyres. We see a few people say the tyres were pretty bad. Despite the low temps, the tyres are proving quite a struggle. Aiden Squire is obviously chiming in as well. Mustang pretty eats his tyres as well. It's pretty common knowledge as well. Will he box? No. I was expecting Giacomo to box just to undercut Glory Babby, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's interesting they're both, maybe they're just enjoying the racing, but Renault was chiming in saying Glory should pit this lap too. So it's interesting to see they're both going around one more time.
So they're gonna just come out ahead of a couple of cars, so don't have to worry about it. Jack Miller is in, so hopefully, I wonder how where he comes out relative to Stefano Ricciuti, which he was ahead of a few laps ago. Quite a way. Is a very long pit stop here, despite you kind of cancel out the first couple of corners, they extend it all so long so you don't really gain anything. It's definitely one of the more kind of painstaking pit lanes. Stefano going along now. I can't imagine Stefano took tyres if he was kind of boxing to undercut, and as well as the Ferrari. Supposedly quite good on the tyres as well from what we hear. See, interestingly, Underwood and John Hislop as well in the background, so it looks like their positions haven't changed much either. Might be a bit of a good reference for us based on this gap to Rob Underwood, where Mr. Miller will come out. Let's see, Stefano negotiating the last couple of corners. Jack Miller should be going very soon. Drop, there he goes. But it is a long way before he is able to turn the pit limiter off. I think this is going to be on Stefano's side if you're a betting man.
Oh, it's gonna be very close, actually.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Adios.
Yeah. See ya. It's such a funny pit lane, as you said. It doesn't like seem like it should be that long, but it is
Come
quite
out
long.
Underwood as well. Sorry.
No, you're all right. Yeah, so there you go. Very, very nice undercut there from Stefano.
Wonder if I'm guessing Underwood wouldn't have taken tyres as well relative to their gap to Stefano, but looks like they come out of Jack Miller. I wonder if Jack has taken tyres either. Be interesting to see. I think the McLaren can be a little bit difficult on tyres. You know, it does have a lot of power to put down. Glory Babby in the box now. Jacob Maggs and Fercolini. So Giacomin is going to circulate around and lead some laps. Interesting how he goes. He's got a few cars around him. As I said, Admiral 9 just up the road, but shouldn't be an issue either. A few cars ahead of him as well from that. So I imagine Giacomin will box way before he catches those cars.
Yeah, I think we're just getting sort of the last few sort of people coming through the pits here. Only a handful have not. Pip doing a fastest lap, 32.9. Babby just filtering out here. So who would we be looking out for? Pip. Where is Pip? Pip's way up the road.
Just out ahead of Glory Babby.
Yeah, so far up the road, right?
Come on, they're in the same shot.
No, I know. It's actually not far at all. It kind of looks like it's about where it was.
Savers brought to you by Blake Griffiths.
Yeah. No, it looks like it's about a second. So they've kind of come out about where they were.
I don't think. I think a 5-second gap difference between them. I don't think. I think both these guys either did take tyres or didn't take tyres because they've definitely come out pretty much as they boxed. I don't think the laps of difference between them either would have dictated this kind of gap. But yeah, interesting to see. I think we should disqualify Glory Babby because his custom livery doesn't have number plates. If I'm not allowed them, no one is. That's the rules.
Number plates?
Enforce it.
Oh, I see. It doesn't have the box with the number on it, right?
What car is this? I have no idea. How can I tell? I'm colorblind.
Okay, interesting.
And number blind.
I hear Cameron's putting his hand up to check every livery submission from here to the end of the
Look, Mike Crick will back me up on this. He will feel the same way.
I mean, I get it because that big friggin' square is so. It's so bad for some liveries. Like you're trying to make something nice, but it needs to be on there.
I love making the OOR staff pull their hair
out. We hate you, Cameron.
This is my farewell commentary. Never allowed back on commentary.
No, because we need you.
Job security.
There's a 312 on the track. That's kind of annoying. Whoa, this is spicy. Giacomin hasn't pitted. That's what I was sort of looking for. But for now, Rob Underwood and Thurcolini going at it here, and Miller actually right on the back of them. So his pace was maybe understated earlier, and you do see Hislop actually behind them all. So Hislop losing out, even though he tried to make that undercut. He kind of finds himself exactly where he was, really.
Yeah, very interesting. And oh, look who's in the background. Mr. Triple Free, Mr. Admiral Naeem. I said these guys need to be concerned. With 20 minutes to go, he's easily going to catch up to these guys. And will he get through all of them as well? He's got the power underneath him to do it. Philip Bokita doing the fastest lap as well. I think that might be an indication maybe they took tyres, but I wouldn't be surprised as well with the pace that Philippa has. I don't know what to think anymore. These esports guys always kind of throw me off on my expectations. But these guys, I wasn't expecting, no credit to Damian Fagolino. I was a little bit surprised to see him come out on top, but shouldn't be too surprised as well. Bertrucci's absolutely buggered off up the road as he goes to his quest. Luca Giacomin, that looks like a little bit slow. I will say he had to really check up. I wonder if he went over a little bit sped into the pit lane. We will still find out, I'm sure, in 30 seconds.
always sort of trying to drum up a little bit of drama, just to make it interesting. But yeah,
If he does
Damiano-
get one, I am completely vindicated.
Oh, of course. I'll eat crow, but Damiano is just looks like he's struggling a bit. I wonder if Damiano didn't take tires, because I feel like Underwood didn't quite have the same pace earlier. He was close, but
Yep.
Giacomin is going to be the last pit. Who are we looking for? Pip is coming through that last sort of sector now. In the second to last corner, I think she'll clear him pretty handily. It has to be said. Who are we looking for though? Babby fell way off the back of Pip. He's 3.6 seconds down.
Yeah, he looked a little bit scrappy. He came out very close. And Philippa right there, just coming out. I think, yep, they're going to be easily clear as well of Glory. Sorry, not Glory Barry, Luca Giacomin. They think it might be a little bit on. I wonder where the Mustang is coming to show as well. So Giacomin's really lost out, and I think all the leaders have taken tires based on the gaps. Interesting, yeah. Absolutely, Glory Barry really kind of just either maybe struggled to fire up his tires a little bit. Not too sure, but has really dropped back from being within a second, maybe within half a second of Bakita as they exited the pits.
Yeah, it's just really fallen back. It's even grown since I mentioned it. So I think we might have to keep an eye on Giacomin to see if he can do anything to get onto that second step.
I don't think we know he obviously didn't get a speeding penalty because nothing came up, but he did look like he was almost like nearly stopped as he came into the pit entry. I wonder if he had to really check it up, and that might have just been a little bit of extra time that he's lost to the Mustang as well. And Mags is right there as well. Look at old Mags and Stefano approaching the background. 20 minutes to Stefano, see if he can close in on Mags. And unfortunately McLeod, number 8 in the Lamborghini, has got himself a DT.
Ooh, that hurts. McLeod was leading the Pro-Am charge thus far, so that's really rough. And I think that's our first one for track limits.
I believe so, unless one of the stewards likes to chime in and says that might have been for anything else, but I'm just going to assume it is track limits because we're at track limits central.
Certainly are. I do have a blue flag car just up ahead. I'm not even sure who that is. It's an Audi that's not on our timing tower, but they do jump out of the way here. It does look like Underwood just lost a little bit from that, though.
There we go. Cam Lloyd actually let them all go as well. That was wise in the Audi. I think Damiano might have found his groove a little bit and is starting to just check up. Oh, yep, and Miller is ahead. John right there going a little bit wide. We'll have to see if we can find that as well. Jack Miller getting ahead of Underwood. I wonder if there was maybe a mistake from the Lamborghini.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was saying. Underwood was just checked up because he was very close to the back of Thircolini. We saw Thircolini come down the pit straight and then there was a bigger gap. But Miller, actually, that puts him into the lead of the silver class. So nicely done by Jack Miller.
Yeah. And it's point on the silver championship as well. Rob Underwood is leading on 278 points, 48 points over Jack Miller. So he needs every kind of result against Jack because that points difference will evaporate very quickly. But if he's only one position behind, it might be okay. But interesting to see. Miller, I think, when he's got the tire underneath him, he does look very quick. And I think Damiano needs to be concerned, as well as all these guys need to be concerned of Mr. Naim closing in very rapidly.
What's that gap now? He's come
4.5 seconds. Based on the camera angle on the straight, he was closing in very, very quickly over a few laps. I wonder whether he took tires. I'm not too sure. Well, it's so hard, difficult to tell sometimes. He's just got to get past Lloyd as well, which I'm sure he'll oblige by. But it looks like things are stagnated a little bit, or kind of set in stone at the front. There's Bakita ahead by 5 seconds over Giacomin, and 3 seconds back to Giacomin. So Glory Babby, picking up P2. Mags and Ricciuti right now as well. 8 seconds between Ricciuti and Mags. I'm not too sure. We'll see if he can get that time down. Admiral Naim getting a little bit, not ideal with the Audi ahead of him, but it's a hard place to get out of the way. I'm sure he'll oblige on this straight.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question if Name took tyres, because I think he pitted at about the 20 minutes into the race. So it's not really like optimal to get the tyre delta on either side of it. But, you know, you're asking a lot, I think, towards the back end to run the whole way down.
Yeah, so the only thing I can think of that, you know, apparently the GTI is quite good on tyres from some people, but I think even Lucas was saying like he was struggling in the race. Granted, he had to box on the end of the first lap, so that might have been the factor. Hard to tell if he what it would have been like if he actually continued, as Lucas is probably the best benchmark we have against you know, a fellow GTR driver that's rapid, quick, and probably dare say is quicker than Admiral Naim as well. Naim is pretty damn good. Not used to seeing him in this kind of machinery, I have to say. But I wonder if he maybe didn't take tyres just because, you know, he was having to do a recovery drive, so, you know, that 5 seconds can lead to a few places. But to be honest, I think the tyre delta here is enough to make up, because I think you'll lose more than 5 seconds by taking tyres for the whole race.
Yeah, I think if we look a little bit further down at Tarab Bank, we've got Bishop and Mateen very close by, and then a couple cars not too far off from them in a pretty tight battle. Bishop actually, I don't think Bishop is not an amateur driver. Bishop, I think, is a silver driver. So I was going to commend their efforts as an amateur driver, but no. But it's good to see Bank out there. I thought he had to pull up stumps for the rest of the season, but I think he's managed to at least get into this race.
Yeah, he's had a very, very good season to our bank. I'm not sure if I think he's a debut on this race, but maybe with Damiano, maybe the Porsche is a little bit of a struggle around here. Maybe lacking for pace a little bit, gets the squirrely on the exit as he did take a very shallow entry, and Andy Bishop in the McLaren is right all over the back of him as well. Looks to the inside after getting caught. He goes up the inside, gets it alongside. Tarab gives him the space as well. A little bit awkward down the exit. The Porsche is going to have to bear the legs to get ahead, but surely the McLaren with its svelte, smooth curves is going to have the drag and the slipstream. But the Porsche got a pretty good run, I will say. And the McLaren as well behind her, Mateen. Bank did well to fend that off as well.
Yeah, that was a good move by Bishop getting on the inside there, but Bank able to rally and hold on to that one, finds himself still ahead. Bank's proven to be a very, very talented driver in their short time at Octane.
Yeah, going well right now as well. Leading the Pro-Am Championships by quite a margin. Oh, very sideways on the exit there. It's not going to help those tyres one bit. But yeah, leading the Pro-Am Championship by 80 points over Saim as well. I think I did see Saim was in this race. Looks like he's P20, so not a good race for his P2 in the Pro-Am Championship. They say Tarabi, if he goes into the end of the season with this kind of form still, he might get a silver promotion for next season, because I think he is pretty much the top. He's easily in the top 10 on the points championship right now. Yeah,
I think Tarab's probably could have had her silver badge last season. He's very, very good. He actually is in the mix for the finals. He's just having to defend here into turn 8, but nothing doing thus far. Yeah, he's finds himself 30th position currently. So if he can keep up the good efforts, he could find himself in the final series.
Yeah, looking at a few of the drivers around them, Brock Godfrey as well, Rosser, Rochford, and Goeb. I'm not too sure if Tim Goeb, unfortunately, can't do commentary right now, but I'm not too sure if he's still driving in split red. Obviously, the daylight savings change made things a little bit difficult for some of the Southeast Asian drivers. Made things a little bit later. Oh, the McLaren right all over the back of him, but Tarab is really having to fend off the McLaren right now. It looks like it is definitely a little bit of an uphill battle. And hopefully things keep it clean between these two. They've got a lap car up ahead and a little bit wide there as well on the penultimate corner. Andy Bishop definitely looks like he's got more tyre underneath him. I wonder if maybe Tarab is wonder if tyre might be the factor between these two, or whether the Porsche is just struggling that much.
Yeah, he's doing just enough here. Oh, a little bit deep. Bishop's going to be on the outside, but there's nothing out there. It's free real estate for a reason. Bank does hold on, but yeah, Bishop does look like he has just that little bit of pace. Mateen close by, but not quite there. But these guys keep holding each other up. They are going to invite Mateen into that battle. But we do jump up a little bit further here. Damiano and Miller. I think, has Miller gotten past Damiano, Cameron?
Yep, well, it looks like Miller has definitely gone ahead, unfortunately. We'll know how that was done. I'm guessing maybe potentially into P8 right now, into turn 8, I would say, based on their proximity. And we'll just have a Luca Giacomo with the fastest lap of 32.7 from the Ferrari. So going very quickly right now, as he looks like he's closing in based on the timing, closing in on Babby, trying to get the Mustang, see if he can maybe get that move done. But only 12 minutes to go, there's not a lot of time left. Unfortunately, Fercolini is going to drop back into P7. Naim checking in on where they are. Looks like maybe if actually, the gap has actually kind of stayed around the same between him and Hislop. And Tarab Bank now under threat now from the Ford Mustang of Ferrugia and Mattia's head. I'm not too sure where has Andy Bishop gone. There he is in the background, just going through the penultimate corner. So definitely something's happened between those two. Yeah. Maybe an error from Bishop or maybe even contact.
Well, these two have caught the back of Bank. I wonder if they've come together, and now we find Ferrugia and Reinhardt in this mix. Because Bishop's way down there too. So
I wonder if no. So Mateen, So I'm sorry. I'm just going to say like Mateen, I think was behind the Bank and Bishop. So I wonder if Bank and maybe has actually fallen back to these two, because I was going to say there was a third car missing from all this as well.
Mateen is so far up the road, though. We'll have to find out a little bit later, but for now we're going to look at that move. So this is turn 8. As you said, Miller gets it really wide. Damiano defending the inside. I think there's going to be a little bit of switchback action here, and it's very nicely done. Just cut straight through, does Miller. I wonder if the Porsche's just really struggling, because we saw as well Bank just drop down a few places. So Damiano going to have to settle for 7th place.
You know what's telling? The information from the steward's room, 89 with a 15-second penalty on lap 29, which is just a moment ago. So I wonder if there was contact between Bank and Bishop, with Bishop getting a penalty of 15 seconds. That's really going to hurt his chances with the result this afternoon, and Tarab Bank as well. I'm looking for any signs of damage as well. Unfortunately, that's another... We wanted to keep things clean, but not too sure what's that one. Andy Bishop, number 89. Yeah,
I think it's interesting. We had a bit of contact earlier in the race, but not much else thus far. It's been a quiet night for the stewards. It's been good. There's only 10 minutes left, and I'm touching wood, I promise. But Bank just going to have the rally here for the time being. Unfortunately, it does lose that spot to Mateen when it's all said and done. But we did get that replacement with Bishop. Oh, that was optimistic to say the least.
Yeah. We've seen a few dives from far back with the F1 last weekend. I don't know if their sales are the same. Looks like Bishop maybe got anything a little bit too hot, because he was not even within a car length of the Porsche from that angle. Could be wrong on that fact, but I don't think he had any claim to the inside. Tarab Bank unfortunately went for a spin as well. So Bishop copying the penalty. Mateen gains ahead of those two as well, and Ferrugia and Reinhardt obviously gain ahead of Bishop, and everyone behind is going to gain as well, as that penalty will be applied. Chloe Babby now, as I said, this gap was closing as Giacomo was putting in the purples, but we saw he was stuck behind him pretty much for the whole first half of this race, and then more some as well. Very hard to get past the Mustang.
Yeah, I think we might be seeing what we've already seen here with the Mustang able to stretch his legs on these straighter bits of track. But Giacomo has really closed this gap, so I wonder how that delta is. I guess it depends how Babby's tyres are, I think, is the question to be asking here.
There's Philippa. We haven't forgotten her.
She's in the frame. She's not that far ahead.
Yeah. Absolutely, but looking strong for 150 points, and obviously pole position as well. I believe is it number 5 points? 3 points as well. I'm hearing for pole position as well. No fastest lap point either. 5 for pole, sorry. Okay. Yep. Max numbers. I don't know what they mean, Mason.
Yeah, fair. Number 25, Xiaomin, second in the Pro-Am Championship with a drive-through. It's actually been relatively quiet on that front this race. These guys being pretty well behaved. So that is going to really, really put a big dent in their championship aspirations.
Oh, just see how much Giacomin really ranges in. Oh, that's very deep from Babby as well, but you can kind of absolutely just completely V into the second corner. It's very wide on the exit as well, but he's doing just enough. The Mustang's just going to eke out a little bit of the gap, not going to give Giacomin, but Giacomin's going to send it anyway. This fires up the inside. Oh, just because it must have been so close to the back bumper, and still stuck on the back bumper is Giacomin right now. Maybe done. He's not going to willing to stay behind as well. Gets closing in on the braking zone, gets a good run as well for the corner, but it's not going to matter if Babby gets the exit. Must have been also close to contact for the Ferrari and Ford into turn 8.
That was eyes wide, our eyebrows raised. That was crazy. I thought they were crashing for sure.
Yeah, that did look the angle, I think, made it even did not help things at all. But it definitely looked like I was literally about to say, it's like, oh, the Mustang is going to eke out another gap for Giacomin not to send it, but he sent it. But I think it was either a measured send or maybe gave Giacomin a little bit of a panic as he found himself getting closer and closer. The door was closing and closing. Coming now for another lap though. We'll go around again. Definition of madness. Actually gets an amazing run through turn 1, but he thought about it. He thought about maybe a send it to turn 2, but it's so close, and he knew that it wasn't on at all.
Yeah, it's a good run, but it kind of compromised the next set of corners, so he just finds himself falling back so slightly. Ferrari making a little bit of hay here in this twisty section, but that Mustang's gonna stretch its legs back down here again, I think.
He is closer, and Babby is actually defending the inside. He takes it to the middle, actually going for the inside, going for the absolute dummy send, and that was wild, and I didn't think he'd get that stopped, and he did. The Ford gave him the inside, but it's still going to have maybe he's going to try and keep the Ford in the inside into turn 9 and 10. He does. He gets it braked very late, goes very wide as well. The Ferrari goes undercut as well from Giacomin. That was a wild send. I might have to see another replay of that into turn 8, but we'll see if the Mustang gets a run in the slipstream. We know what the Mustang's like. A touch as well! A bump draft, potentially not into the corner. That was definitely not really on right now from the Mustang.
Yeah, I think a little bit of frustration there showing from Glory Babby. That was a very, very aggressive move from Giacomin. I'm not even really sure if that was fully on, but it really caught Glory Babby napping there.
Expect the unexpected from Giacomin, and won't be surprised. He got it done, and he is redressing. He's redressing the move. He might have been told to. He might have done it on his own volition. We do not know. We'll find out. But it's going to set up 5 minutes again for him to do it all again. But now Glory Babby knows he knows what Giacomin is willing to do at turn 8, and it seems to be his best chance as well in the Ferrari to get a run. Audi jump ahead, a blue flank car. Hopefully it won't impede these guys too much. It gets a much better run through that corner at turn 6. This is turn 7 well, this slight left, but it really doesn't count. Will he go for another surprise Banshee dive as well? He is going to get it alongside. That's such a close. That wasn't really on as well from the Ferrari. The Mustang really just avoided the crash there, and definitely Glory Babby's not going to be too impressed right now.
God, if you're Babby, you just must be sweating bullets. It's just absolutely heinous moves here from Giacomin. It's really putting me on edge. I'm not even driving. Ryan Anderson in chat from the stewards room a requested redress for Giacomin earlier, so we'll see if he can line another one up. But yeah, damn, it's getting spicy.
Sorry about that. I realized I just called out what you were about to say. I got a little bit too excited, a little bit amped up right now as these guys are really starting to fight. And yeah, I don't think that move was on this lap as well. Obviously, unfortunately, Tarab Bank, to cut things in, has gotten a drive-through and is unfortunately falling down the order. So while Saeem, his P2 in the Pro-Am Championship, P1 of Tarab Bank has also got a a drive-through, so it will be kind of a no one gains. We get a replay now, so he goes all the way to right and then sends it left as well. The Ford Mustang kind of saw him coming, left into space as well. I don't think that was really anything that Glory did wrong either, but clearly the stewards have said that, you know, that's not on. That was pretty much a dive bomb. The Mustang had to avoid the crash. Yeah,
I think he had to turn out of that one. It's easier to see the second time around. Giacomo, lucky Babby, had the head on a swivel. So I'm not surprised by the redress there.
Looks like we're going to have this lap and potentially one more. We'll see how Philippa gets about. Yeah, might actually get another one as well. We shall see. With just over 2 minutes, I think we'll get another lap in as well. We'll see how things are going as well. So Glory Babby right now going around. Sorry, not another lap, another 2 laps as I meant to say. Things getting on its way. We do appreciate everyone as well watching this feed. Looks like Glory Bappy has gone ahead and eked out a bit of a gap. Has this battle seeped over? It just takes a few mistakes. A little bit wide there from the Mustang on the exit. The Ferrari really closing in. A little bit slow as well through the penultimate corner. Feeling the tyres a little bit. It is towards the end of the stint. We know what the Mustang's like on the tyres. Ferrari looking strong as well, but surely now Glory Babby, he knows all the tricks. He knows what Giacomo's going to do if he gets close. And the last lap he didn't really hold it close. We'll follow him through for this sequence of corners and on the run down to turn 8, the action zone for the Ferrari and the Ford. Very late braking there from Giacomo as well. He tries to get it on up the inside along the fender from the Ford, upset his line a little bit. The Ford did run deep and didn't really hit the apex of the corner, but it doesn't matter as he really starts to pull away. And surely Giacomo, you know, with those flashing lights, you got to change up, man. I know it's a short straight, but you know, you're holding that fourth way too long.
I was so nervous coming into that corner. Nothing ended up even happening, but I was like, oh my god. It felt, you know, I think we're going to have at least 1 more, 2 more goes maybe here, but yeah, just, I'm not sure. I think Babby, needs to really park it on that apex. I think if he can keep it a little bit narrower than he has been, there won't be anything there from Giacomo. Just make Giacomo go all the way around. But we'll see if Giacomo can actually tee something up. A little bit nice and tidier there from Glory Babby. We saw last lap, he just lost he lost all of his gap in that last hairpin, really.
Yeah, I think there's line, so will be 1 more lap as well. This is the last one. Yeah, the Ford Mustang looks like he's just getting just lacking that front end grip as he obviously doesn't have the turn in, but struggling to get the car stopped as well as the tires can affect the braking distance as well. We'll see what Luca does into turn 4. I don't think it's close enough to have a move, but this is where Glory Babby has appeared the weakest between these two, and that's where the Ferrari's really gone strong, but he's actually done a pretty good job these last couple of laps. But it's a very good run there, I will say, from Giacomo. He's right there. He's benefiting from the slipstream, running down into turn A. What's going to happen? Glory parks it in the middle. He's going to do the Banshee send again, and we're going to make contact. Have we not learned? And he pushes them out wide, but the Ford Mustang is still going to be out ahead of the Ferrari right now. Turn 9 and 10. What's going to happen now? But surely, I'm not too sure if anything's going to come of that.
I'm surprised he tried exactly the same move. He put it wide and threw it to the inside, and it just wasn't really on again. And don't call me Shirley.
Absolutely not.
But, yeah, that is surprising. Babby didn't defend it as hard as I would have thought either.
That's so wide. Surely that's a track limit or anything like that. But will it matter? It touches the exit as well. Philippa's coming across the line. It's not. What are we doing? Oh, come on.
Oh my god.
Oh dear. They touched on the exit. I was gonna check myself, but I'm not apologizing for anything now. That is silly. I'm not too sure what happened. We're all a bit hurt. There's frustration. There's tears. There's arguments. But we shall find out. But these two will file in across the line, P2 and P3. I'm not too sure what to make of that.
It was just messy. I think I'm not Yeah, I'm actually a bit speechless. I mean, I need to see it again, kind of. I mean, there was a tap, and I think Babby just kind of froze up a bit, and then Giacomo obviously wanted to get going, but yeah, I don't know. There's just, I mean, it hurt them both really badly. Jacob Maggs, a bit of a, oh my god, what's that speed skater called?
Torville? That's the only one I could think of.
No, the speed skater in the Olympics. No, the one that won when everyone else fell over, Glenn. Oh my god.
There are sports outside of motorsport?
Stephen Bradbury. Jeez Louise. Wow. Deliano is just trying to back it up into the service zone. I think we all want to back it up into the service zone.
I want to say the second contact was probably a confusion.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it was one of those things when you're driving your regular car on the street and you see someone does something wrong and then they slam on the brakes and they actually make it worse than what it was. It was a bit of that. It was very awkward.
Stephen Bradbury and Stefan Bradbury is I don't know. Is that I don't know what any of you are talking about.
Are you not familiar with Stephen Bradbury?
I'm here for motorsports. Any other sports?
Unbelievable. Well, that was one of the races of all time, to quote Lexi Bone. But it is.
You're doing the
overcome.
results.
I'm doing the results. Done. Well, Pitt with a very nice lead towards the end there, 18 seconds. Jacob Maggs inheriting P2, and Babby and Giacomo at the end. I think
sorry,
Babby will
I'm really sorry to interrupt you right now, but Pip just said she did that all on a full tank.
Wow.
I was like, Pip's, they're not letting Pip go. Well. Pip's, not eking out ahead. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Stop it. It's not real.
So Babby, I think, will probably be in P3, but we'll see. We'll have to see well after.
Call it as it, see it.
Yeah. The Silver Cup, please. Miller does manage to hold out. Underwood falling 7 seconds behind, and Mateen rounding out the third spot for the Silver class. Pro-Am looks like Ferrugia actually in the top after a couple of unfortunate drive-throughs further down the field for Bank and CMM, but Noah Reinhardt and John Rad. And in your amateur class, I think we only had 2 AM drivers. Bishop does not count. So Bartoletti and Callum Lloyd racing in that class. Yeah, what a race.
Yes, a motor race, as a famous quote. But yes, we'll leave it at that. We all got very excited there towards the end there, and no malice and no foul to anyone. I want to see people racing regardless. No one just following line astern to home. But we appreciate everyone out there. Thank you everyone for watching the streams as well on this late Wednesday night. Catch us again tomorrow, 7:30 AEST, AEDT, whatever, for Split Blue, not Split Blue, LMU, and Split Red will be at Le Mans, and of course back for MISANO respectively. But that's download the ACC update, which will have no patch notes as usual.
Fingers crossed it's not just liveries, but thank you very much for joining me in the booth, Cameron, and thank you to Thermaltake for sponsoring us. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.